welcome to our coverage of the British Artistic Gymnastics Championships 2025. I'm Sydney Davies.
And I'm Sam Oldham, and this is going to be an incredible afternoon of gymnastics. We've already seen some amazing performances over the past few days, and I'm very excited to be here, Sydney.
It's been incredible. We've had over 360 gymnasts registered to compete this weekend, and there were over 59 British titles up for grabs. Now, Sam, it's not been too long since you yourself were competing in this very arena. How will our gymnasts be feeling as they line up backstage?
Yes, the last time I competed in this arena was a few years ago, and they will be feeling very excited, a little bit nervous, I'm sure, but they will not be able to wait to get out into this arena and compete in front of a lot of their family, friends, gymnastics fans. I mean, what an opportunity for them today.
The crowds have been incredible here in Liverpool. Over 2,000 school children visited us throughout the week, and they absolutely took the roof off this place. So much action has already happened this week. On Thursday, we saw our Disability Masters men's gymnasts compete in their apparatus finals, our Aspire women in their all-around competition, and also our under-16 men's gymnasts. And they were all absolutely fantastic, and we'll be able to show you some of that action.
Very excited to see that footage that we're going to see just now.
You can see all of the huge smiles there on our gymnasts' faces. That was all of Thursday's action, which was absolutely incredible. Elisabetta Cardelli from Heathrow Gymnastics took the Aspire all-around title, and Azair Chowdhury took the under-16 men's all-around title. And Friday was incredible as well, wasn't it, Sam?
It was, Sydney. I mean, we had some incredible performances on Thursday. I saw Azair's performances. They were unbelievable, particularly on the high bar. I mean, what a routine. And then Friday's competition, we had Caden Jackson winning the men's gymnastics under 14s. And I think we're going to take a look at those highlights right now from Friday. Some amazing performances there from yesterday, Friday's event there, Sydney. We're going to pass over to our commentary box now. We're going to have a chat with Kristian and Katie. Kristian, I'm very excited to hear what was it like, Kristian, competing in this arena? You've had your hands on this British all-around title yourself, and what was it like competing in this arena, Kristian?
So sorry, guys, in the studio, I'm sure you've asked us what we're excited about. We can't hear you just now, but I tell you what, there is going to be a spectacular afternoon of gymnastics here. The women's competition is going to be blown wide open. We've definitely got a new champion for 2025, but who it's going to be is anybody's guess. So it's going to be a really exciting afternoon of gymnastics.
Indeed, and equally on the men's side as well, we are going to have a new British champion today, which is very, very exciting. Always the first British Championships after an Olympic Games can be a little bit interesting. We have new names, we have new juniors who've made that transition up into the senior ranks, an opportunity for them to stamp their mark on the Great British Men's Programme and also make a name for themselves. And what great better opportunity is it to be competing here in the M&S Bank Arena in front of a packed out audience.
Yep, that's Katie Foster and Kristian Thomas there in our commentary box. We'll be hearing from them throughout the afternoon. But now, gymnastics fans will be delighted because we have a surprise special guest in our studio. It's British gymnastics legend, Becky Downey. How are you doing, Becky?
Hi guys. Hi, I'm good. Loving being back, and yeah, different side of the arena for me this time. But yeah, it's really nice to just be back and see everyone, and yeah, be in the gymnastics atmosphere and space.
What's it like, Becky, being here at the start of your 6th Olympic cycle, which is just incredible? Are you excited to see some gymnastics this weekend, to be on the other side, I guess, of the audience and watching rather than competing yourself? Does it feel strange?
Yeah, it's definitely different when you are sitting out, but at the same time, I think it's exciting to be at the start of like a new cycle, kind of work off slightly different code of points, see where the judges are ranking everyone, and also see some of the new emerging talent, so I'm really excited.
Well, that talent is going to be really special in today's competition in particular, because none of your teammates that were competing in Paris are here, so it's a wide open field with some really talented first-year seniors. What are you looking forward to this afternoon?
I think just seeing the new seniors that are coming up, just really enjoy the experience, and yeah, just see what new squads we can kind of put together after these British Championships. And we are really at the start of a brand new cycle and new journey, which I think for the sport is a really exciting place to be.
And what are you looking for, Becky, in a performance? Is it technical things? Is it the way the athlete connects with the crowd? Is it the whole performance as a package? When you're watching a young gymnast that maybe has the opportunity to make a name for themselves, what is it that you're looking out for?
I think being able to kind of deliver and handle the pressure in a major championships like this, and yeah, really just enjoyment. I love big gymnastics, so seeing some big tricks out there is always exciting to see for the crowd and yeah, spectators. And yeah, it's going to be a great watch.
And Becky, for anyone that perhaps isn't a huge fan of gymnastics and is new to watching today, talk us through a little bit about your gymnastics journey and what's brought you through your career.
Oh, that's a big question. So I started gymnastics when I was 7 years old, and I'm now 33. I've had a very long career full of many challenges, but also many highs as well. Been on the national team since I was 9 years old, and yeah, it's been a hell of a journey, but also a very exciting one, and one that I'm not quite finished with yet.
How are you approaching this Olympic cycle, Becky? You know, a 6th, I just can't get my head around that number. It's unbelievable. How are you approaching? Is it very much one competition, 1 year at a time? I know you've just had surgery yourself.
Yeah, so after Paris for me, I really did kind of go into that thinking it was really going to be my last, and tried to take in every part of that competition, because you do never know, and especially as time is ticking on for me. But I think I really needed that championships to really prove to myself how good I still was, and I still really love what I do, and I've never really considered, LA was never in my sights before, and it kind of was like, you know what, let's take this as far as I can, whilst I'm still enjoying it and whilst I'm still good. And yeah, the original plan was to take a year, just to take some time, just mentally decompress, and say we get a new code of points, figure things out. I've not actually been in a gymnastics gym since Paris, which has been really strange for me, but at the same time, been keeping up fitness. Like Sam said, I've just had surgery, so that was a bit of an unexpected part of the plan, but at the same time, my shoulders are doing really well, and I'm actually really excited now to start tiptoeing back in a gym.
Well, given all of that time out of the gym, what have you been doing to keep yourself busy? Have you been any new exciting ventures on the horizon?
I took some holiday, so that was really nice. I got to do some stuff with London Fashion Week, and fashion's a big part of like what I enjoy and what I like to do, so that was exciting to have those new opportunities after Paris. And I've also been coaching, and alongside my training, that's something that I'm really passionate about now, and my dream is to be a high performance coach when I finish, so the goal is going to be building up those qualifications now over the next couple of years, and the dream is to have my own space, so I'm very excited to do it. I'm really excited for that journey. As excited for that journey as I am as my own gymnastics journey. So
amazing, Becky. And you said you're getting into coaching yourself here. How important is it, that relationship between the gymnast and the coaches here today that are trying to win an individual all-around title? Yeah. How important is that relationship? And also how important are the fans in the arena, right? You know, you will have remembered yourself competing in front of a very small amount of fans when you first started. Now they're competing in front of thousands. Yeah. How important is that relationship with the community of gymnastics, but also with the coaches today?
Start with the coaches. I think the athlete-coach relationship is really important. I think having somebody that you can really rely on both ways, for the gymnast and for the coach, and that you really know each other, can help you with your game plan, your strategy, dealing with emotions. There's so much that comes into that relationship, and I think a good connection is key to good performance. And then from the crowd perspective, I think it's incredible that we are able to host championships in arenas like this. I remember when I was growing up in the sport, and as you will have, Sam, like, we didn't have British championships like this from a young age. We were lucky enough to be able to experience it later in our careers, but I think for the young emerging talent, it's so important to get that experience of being on a stage. Having apparatus on a podium is a real privilege for us, looking at nurturing that next talent coming through. And I think once you can experience that at British Championships, when you hopefully then would make a Europeans or a Commonwealths or Worlds, for future Olympians, it's very similar. So it's incredible to see, and it's great that we can put on a show like this.
And the crowd here in Liverpool this week have been absolutely extraordinary. What's the reception been like for you being here today? Lots of queues of waiting fans?
Yeah, there's always lots of little ones waiting for pictures and autographs and that kind of thing. But that's one part of the British that's really special. And you forget, for like the young kids and also just the general gymnastics fans, like, it's a place for them to see their stars of the sport. So for me, it's a real privilege to be able to come, even though I'm not competing this time round. And yeah, I'm excited to see what the weekend has in store.
Amazing, Becky. Absolutely brilliant. It's great that you're here and you are supporting the next generation as well. So thank you very much. I think we've got some highlights now to watch from this morning's competition.
Oh, that was all of the action from this morning's competition. It was so incredible in here. The fans absolutely loved it. This morning we had the Disability Masters Women's Apparatus Finals,
That's right.
our Aspire Women's Apparatus Finals, our Men's Under-18 All-Around Finals, and also the first subdivision of the Women's Senior All-Around Finals. It was a busy one, wasn't it, Sam?
It was. There was so much action going on all over the arena, and we saw some absolutely incredible performances, particularly in the men's gymnastics under-18 event. We saw Sol Scott take the title there, performing some beautiful gymnastics, and we saw some incredible gymnastics across the board.
Yeah, Elisabetta Cardelli, our all-around Aspire champion, did a beautiful beam and floor routine. She's known for her beam routine. She's sometimes called the beam queen, and you could absolutely see why here in Liverpool today. And I think we're going to be able to take another look at some of the routines, particularly Lily Heather Maskell's vault in the WAG Masters Disability Championship. Sam, talk me through this vault.
So she's performing a straight Yuchenko, and it's a beautifully performed straight Yuchenko. You can see in the air that her legs are completely straight. When she contacts the vaulting table, her arms are completely straight as well. And there's not much movement on her landing, so that's a beautiful vault. I'm sure she was very happy with that performance.
Yeah, there'll definitely be few deductions there. And she actually took the gold medal, so she's surely absolutely thrilled with it. She's from the wire, and she took home 3 gold medals today, which is just an incredible achievement for a Saturday morning.
It's amazing, and I'm sure the crowd in here got right behind her. I'm sure she had family supporting her, club teammates. And like Becky said a moment ago, it's just amazing that these young athletes have got the opportunity to compete in an arena like this. It's an incredible experience for all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also had Oliver Porter, who was competing on the parallel bars, and I think we can take a look at this routine now, Sam.
So Oliver had a great performance this morning, and I was watching his routine on the parallel bars. He has a beautiful handstand line. That means when he's doing his handstand here, it's absolutely perfectly straight. Does a double back somersault, takes a step. Had a great competition. I believe he finished 7th in the all-around.
He did. He finished 7th, but it was a really tight competition. But you could also see that the gymnasts were enjoying going around the competition floor, and who wouldn't, with the crowd that you might be able to hear behind us. There's actually record ticket sales for this event, which is just amazing, isn't it?
It's absolutely amazing. I think we've got another performance to watch, Sydney. I think we're going to have a look at Kieran Rocket's vault right now. So again, a powerful performance. He's doing the straight full twist, so a Kazumatsu. Another great landing. You can see he gets a lot of height off the vault table there, so the judges are looking for that. And again, a really small landing, very similar to the vault we saw just a few moments ago. So not a lot to take off, and a great vault.
And the most exciting thing, Sam, is that this is just this morning's competition. We have so much more action to come this afternoon. We're going to have our second subdivision of the senior women's all-around, which is going to be such a wide open field, but we'll also see the return of Jessica Gadarova, which I know the crowd will be waiting for. But also, the gymnasts that competed all week have just done incredibly, and I think we're going to be able to hear the interview now from Blake Gidley from our Disability Men's Masters competition.
I'm here with our Men's Disability Masters winners. Guys, congratulations today. First of all, can I ask you to go along and introduce yourself, please?
So I'm Blake Gidley from Lincoln Gymnastics Club.
I'm Kieran Innes from Fusion Gymnastics Wales.
And I'm James Dow, and I train at Plymouth Swallows Gymnastics.
So it's been an incredible atmosphere this morning in Liverpool. Can I just ask you to tell us what was your highlight of the competition? What was your favourite part?
My highlight was the cheering from the crowd. It was amazing this year. Last year they weren't a lot, but they've bung it amazingly this year. It was on another level.
I think my highlight is actually going around with these boys. I've done this comp for a few years, and to see the standard increase each year is really inspiring.
And I'm going to agree with Blake and Kieran really, but the atmosphere today was really amazing. And all the schools coming out, it's amazing to see how excited they get, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it was really great to see all the schools here, weren't they? They were really loud. And then finally, can I just ask you to tell us a bit about how you got into gymnastics and what's your favourite part about gymnastics overall?
Yeah, so I got into gymnastics basically just because I had a lot of energy as a kid with my ADHD and autism. Went into it, absolutely loved it. Just carried on ever since then.
My mum actually got me into it at about 2 because I was climbing over everything in the house. She said I need to learn how to fall properly.
Well, actually, I've got a very similar story. I was about 2 or 3, and I was jumping off the sofas and everything. My mum got me in to just help me do it safely, but I've loved it ever since. But the best bit is the connections. You know, the people I've competed with, my teammates, they're my brothers now, you know, like my coaches. It's amazing. I love every second of it.
Thanks, guys. Congratulations again today, and hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend.
So great to hear about their love of gymnastics, but from one Masters competition to another, we're delighted to be joined by Lily and Nancy, fresh with their silverware. Guys, you must be so happy with your performances this morning.
Yeah.
What was your favourite part of competing this morning, Nancy?
Probably doing my floor routine. Yeah, it was really fun.
Is that your favourite event to compete on?
Yeah.
And what's your favourite skill in that routine, Nancy, that you perform?
Probably my full twist at the end.
Okay, your full twist. Have you been practicing that skill for a long time? Is it a new skill for you?
Yeah, quite a while, yeah.
And did you have family in the crowd today supporting you?
Yeah, I've got my mum, my dad and my sister.
And how much of a difference does that make, Nancy?
A lot, yeah. It's nice to just be like supported.
Yeah, exactly, amazing. And it's an amazing atmosphere, right? I think we're going to see your vault right now. You just talk us through the landing there. It was a great landing, a perfect vault. When you're competing a vault like that, Nancy, how fast is it going in your head? Are you able to slow things down?
It's just like it all just happens at once. You don't really have time to like process what's going on.
And what do you feel like in the moments before you run down the vault run up? Are you nervous? Are you excited?
Yeah, I was quite nervous today, to be honest. It's my first time competing here, so yeah, I was quite nervous.
Incredibly, Nancy. And Lily, I can see your coach just down here on the side. They must be so proud of you. What was it like to go round the competition floor with them today?
Was it good today, Lily, competing with your coach, going round with your coaches? Are they very supportive? Do they help you with your routines?
Yes, they're all very supportive.
And you were telling me, Lily, that the beam is your favourite apparatus, is that right?
Yeah.
And is there a skill on the beam that you like to perform?
Probably my flick layout.
Your flick layout, wow, so the beam for me, I don't know how you guys do that. You are very, very brave. You would never get me on the beam. What's the dismount that you perform on the beam, Lily?
Round off full twist.
A round off full twist. Wow, so it takes a lot of bravery to do a skill like that. What's the apparatus maybe that you found a little bit more difficult than the beam, Lily?
Probably bars.
The bars. And the bars is a very technical event, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what was it like for you competing in this arena today and potentially having some family supporting you? Did you have your family with you?
Really exciting.
That's fabulous. You guys were absolutely incredible. And now we're going to move from some champions to another champion from Thursday. We're going to hear from Elisabetta Cardelli, our Aspire Women's all-around champion.
Congratulations, what an incredible competition. Could you talk us through how that all went for you?
So I started on floor and actually started really well, landing my double back, landing every tumble, scored 13, which I was really surprised. And then I went to vault, I didn't want to over-rotate, and I didn't. Then bars is like my worst piece. So I was really nervous. So we decided to drop one of my skills because I didn't want to risk falling. And surprisingly, it went really well. And then beam is my best piece. And I dropped the layout because it was just too risky. And stayed on with new dismount as well, 2.5. So overall, really, really good.
So how were your nerves today? This is your first big British Championships. How did it feel?
So it was really nerve-wracking at first, and then I'm glad I started on floor because I got to get all my nerves out. But I didn't feel very well afterwards because my floor and my beam, I do them really quickly. So I just had to breathe. So yeah.
So how proud are yourself? So you were so nervous, but you've done really well. How proud are you?
I'm really proud of myself because it's my first British as well. I wasn't expecting to come first. I was expecting hopefully top 10, but yeah.
And clearly you love gymnastics. You've got a big smile on your face. What do you love about gymnastics so much?
So I just love the sport in general. I love beam. I love working with other people, meeting other people, going to competitions. It's just all a big experience.
And you're obviously from an amazing club, Heathrow.
Yeah.
What's your dreams as a gymnast?
Hopefully to compete internationally, but yeah, we'll see.
Well, congratulations again. You were amazing.
Incredible performances there from Elisabetta, and certainly one to watch for the future. We're now going to hand over to Azir Chowdhury. We've got an interview with him. We're going to hear about his performances. And again, just an incredible performance from Azir. So we're going to have a little listen to him now.
It was an incredible competition by you. Can you talk us through your performances today?
Yeah, it was really good all around. Started on vault, 2 clean vaults, very good. P-bar, very clean. High bar, there was new releases, very good all on the bar. Floor, I did a basic floor due to my ankle, which was still a very good routine towards my score. Pommels and rings was a very good finish.
We obviously saw you make a name for yourself at the Junior Europeans last year. How important do you think that was that experience was, and how much have you developed since then, do you think?
Yeah, I think it was a very important experience for the rest of my development, yeah. and I think it set me up for like the rest of my career.
And what have you been working on since we saw you then? What specific apparatus, I guess, have you really been focusing on?
I've been focusing on all-around score because I want to hopefully go to EOF and Junior Worlds at the end of the year.
Yeah, and what, obviously you train alongside Jake.
Yeah.
Obviously you saw what he did in Paris last year. How inspiring was that, and how much do you enjoy working with Jake every day?
Yes, it was very inspiring to see him to do very well at Paris, and working alongside him is very good because he's very good at giving me feedback towards my skills.
And looking ahead for this Olympic cycle, like what are your ambitions, I guess, for the next few years?
Yeah, very big ambition this is, but hopefully I want to go to LA and then keep on going from there.
Congratulations there, great performance.
Thank you.
High aspirations there for Azair, and we're delighted now to be joined by another champion. It's busy in the studio. We've got our under-18s champion, it's Sol Scott. Sol, show us your medal.
Thank you for having me.
And Sol, just tell us a little bit about your performance this morning. An incredible performance. You won by quite a large margin. Can you tell me what was your favourite apparatus to compete this morning?
It definitely had to be the vault. I love competing on the vault. I love the adrenaline, and I think I done myself proud by coming first, which is really good.
And were you inspired by, obviously we just heard from Azair there, he went and won the under-16 competition. Did that give you some motivation coming into the event this morning?
Yeah, definitely. As he's my teammate, it's really good to have someone else on board as well, so really happy he's won too.
And you obviously train alongside Jake Jarman.
Yeah.
Jake's gone on and had some incredible success. How much of an influence has Jake been in the gym at Huntingdon, and the work that you guys are doing and the level of the difficulty is incredible?
Yeah, it's a lot. He's very supportive, and it's good to train with him every day, especially like in the daytime session when there's not many people around. It's really good fun.
And how important is it, Sol, in a competition like this, when you're trying to win an individual all-around title, and maybe you have a mistake like you did on the P-bars, how important is that dialogue between you and your coach, Ben?
Yeah.
And what were some of the things maybe he said to you in that moment so you could keep it together and then finish off in such a beautiful way?
I think it's really important to take one piece at a time. You may fall at one piece, but there's 5 others you've got to work on. So I think going through it slowly and focusing on what you need to do is really good.
And you do incredibly stylish gymnastics. So where does that come from? What inspired that style?
Well, I think when I was younger, I did a lot of basics, and I think that's been honed in a lot on. So I think that's really paid off.
Yeah, amazing performances, Sol. And what are your hopes for the rest of this Olympic cycle? You know, we're at that moment right now where we've just started. It's 4 years to LA. I'm sure you've got one eye on the Olympics in 4 years' time.
Yeah, definitely. That's the long-term goal, LA. I'd really like to make the Junior Worlds team this year as well, which will happen in the Philippines. So that's a big thing to hope for.
Amazing, mate, amazing.
Well, you were incredible, Sol, and you may be able to hear it getting louder behind us because we're getting ready for the start of our men's first rotation in their all-around competition. Sam, who are you looking forward to seeing in this first rotation?
Well, it's going to be incredibly exciting. We're starting on the pommel horse, and we've got some incredible gymnasts. We've got Joshua Nathan, who just finalled at the Cottbus World Cup on pommel horse. We've got Jamie Lewis, and we've also got Jake Jarman as well, who's put a lot of work in on the pommel horse. I had a chat with him yesterday. He told me that he has aspirations to really push for medals all around in this Olympic cycle. So a lot of exciting names to look out for in the first rotation.
Well, he'll definitely be a fan favourite. I think I've seen plenty of signs with his name on them. Because just tell me, you yourself have won an Olympic bronze medal, and Jake won one this summer in Paris. How does that impact how you go back into the training hall?
I think for Jake, Sydney, it's going to be a massive motivator. You know, he's going to want to turn that bronze, hopefully, into silver or gold in 4 years' time. And that's certainly going to be his main motivation. He's a world champion. And so there's no way he's not thinking about LA 2028 and potentially winning a gold medal. But having chatted to him yesterday, he's very much taking it one step at a time. And this is that first step on that journey. And this is outside of an Olympic Games, a World Championships, a European Championships, and the Commonwealth Games. This is as big as it gets. And the trophy that the gymnasts are competing for today is the original trophy from 117 championships ago. It's very, very special, and the best athletes in gymnastics have had their hands on that trophy.
Well, I can't wait to see them compete for it. We're going to pass you over to our commentary team. Katie Foster and Kristian Thomas are ready for you in the commentary booth.
Thank you so much, guys. We're looking forward to an outstanding afternoon of competition here. Chris, of course, the boys are starting up first, so are you excited? Are you nervous? What are you feeling?
I think the overwhelming thought right now is excitement. It's a new code of points, which is obviously gets almost the rules of gymnastics. They get reset, rewritten a little bit after each Olympics. So there's always a little bit of uncertainty in this first year of exactly where the gymnasts are going to place themselves, how they're going to construct the routines, how they're going to build that consistency over the next few years. So there's plenty of action to be seen. We've already referenced, we've got Olympic medalists, we've got world medalists, we've got European medalists and champions competing as well over the next couple of hours. So it's going to be a very, very exciting afternoon for sure.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the changes to the code of points. The men have got quite a lot to deal with this time around, haven't they? A change in the number of moves in each routine.
Absolutely. That is probably the biggest and most substantial change for these gymnasts. Historically, there's always been 10 skills in a men's gymnastics routine. This time now, moving forward, there's going to be 8 skills. So we've reduced the number overall by 2 skills, which doesn't sound too much, but actually, when you're on an apparatus for sometimes over a minute, that really does make a big, big difference. And the reasoning behind that is for injury concerns. It's for longevity within the sport. Hopefully, it allows the athletes that little bit more of a grace and resting period as well, because since we've moved from that perfect 10 score to the open-ended scoring system, we have noticed that the gymnast routines have just kept going on and building and just getting more and more difficult. And so with that, the International Federation, they have to bring in some parameters to make sure that we still safeguard the gymnasts.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a really exciting change, actually. Now they've only got 8 skills, they're still going to want to build those incredibly big start values. So they really are going to have to pack the difficult skills into slightly shorter routines, aren't they?
Yes, and that's, I guess, where that sort of that assembling your routine and that routine construction really comes into play and really is important, because you've got 2 less skills to count. There's also going to be probably a stronger emphasis on the dismounts. So again, I think that's going to make it really exciting, because naturally at the end of the routine you're a little bit more tired, but we're also encouraging for some of those big dismounts. We might see a few more triple somersaults, which again, historically, we haven't seen too often on the men's side. So that's exciting. That for me is certainly a big plus.
Yeah, it's definitely an exciting one for the crowd to watch. When the guys are going for those big dismounts at the end of difficult routines, it's definitely a risk versus reward scenario, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I think gymnasts, for the most part, particularly at this level and that senior level, and even more so once you get to the international stage, it is that risk-reward. Arguably today, it's the all-around competition, which is the combination of all 6 apparatus and 4 on the women's score combined. And so potentially you do have the ability to maybe not take as many risks. So that could potentially play out here, and then hopefully make a final tomorrow, and then that's when they can push that difficulty even further, should they choose to choose that tactic.
For sure, and being the first year of this brand new Olympic cycle, it is the time, isn't it, to test out those new skills, to try and push the difficulty. They're going to be building these routines over the next few years to nail in exactly what they want to be doing and representing in LA.
Absolutely, it's a perfect opportunity to be doing that right now. As I say, we've got a few more years where the gymnasts can build in it, they can build that consistency, that confidence, and these are now the opportunities to get an opportunity to compete in front of a packed out crowd, those high pressurised environments. We don't always get that opportunity to do that. So yes, important for the gymnasts to make the most of it.
Definitely, and you can see the competition is beginning around the arena. We're going to be sticking with pommel horse to start off with. Not everyone's favourite piece to start their competition on, but this man knows a thing or two about how to work the pommel, doesn't he?
He does indeed. He's a world finalist on this apparatus. Sam also mentioned earlier, recently just come back from Cottbus World Cup, where he was a finalist. So making the final, that's in the top 8 rankings. So he is a bit of a specialist on this piece of apparatus. And there we go, straight into the handstand position. Important for the gymnast just to try and settle down into a nice rhythm right off the start of the routine on what typically is a nerve-wracking piece to start with. This is nice, good work here. Very intricate hand placements. See just the slightest of leg splits there by Joshua. But very nice there, up into the handstand position and smoothly back down, the skill known as the Biznari. And again, very good side travel there. This is good routine so far from Joshua Nathan. Up into the handstand, cleanly through. Excellent routine.
That was a very assured performance from a bit of a pommel horse specialist there, being first up, first piece, pommel horse at a British Championships. He's definitely done himself proud.
He has indeed, and For me, starting on the pommel horse is always a difficult apparatus to start your competition on. I think if you ask most gymnasts, they probably wouldn't want to be competing. But you can see on screen there just how happy he is with that routine. And also being congratulated by one of his coaches, Luke Folwell, who himself is a Commonwealth all-around champion. So knows a thing or two about competing on an international stage.
Yeah, we've got an exceptional group of coaches as well as gymnasts on the floor here. When we're talking about that routine construction, it's amazing how many of the coaches on the floor here are also international level judges. So they'll definitely be pulling out all the stops to get these tactical routines sorted for this year, won't they?
Indeed, and even if you look a little bit further than that as well, some of those judges/coaches, they've also been gymnasts as well, so they've gone full circle and they have got plenty of experience that hopefully they're passing on to the gymnasts and making sure that they can pass on that knowledge for the gymnasts and the benefit for the gymnasts.
I always think in the men's competition it's really nice to see the groups of guys we have from different clubs as well. City of Birmingham very well represented here, Notts, Pegasus, Leeds. It must be really nice to have a large training group back at the gym to help with motivation and, just getting through those training sessions.
For me, it definitely makes that difference. It's certainly something where you can push each other and day to day in the gym, and I think particularly at City of Birmingham we can see that's paid dividends the last few years. And we can see here we've got next gymnast up from City of Birmingham, Ramel Robinson-Bailey, formerly of Earls Gymnastics Club, made the switch a couple of years ago to compete for the City of Birmingham. Certainly the stronger apparatus, typically off floor and vault. You can see they're just struggling through that midpoint of that routine there on the one handle. Really important to get those hand placements accurate. Unfortunately, just came a little bit unstuck. I can let you know that Joshua Nathan scored 14.050 for his routine beforehand, so very, very competitive score. And Ramel goes again into the Magyar travel, which is the forwards travelling element, and then into the Shivado, which is the reverse. Up into dismount. And safely through. Not obviously ideal in terms of the start to his competition, but it's important now to reset, make sure he can refocus. There's still another 5 apparatus to go.
Yeah, the men, of course, competing here on 6 apparatus. We'll welcome the women's artistic gymnasts into the arena in just a little while. They, of course, compete only on the 4. Well, you can see a bit of a shake of the hand there. Wasn't completely sure of that routine. But as we said earlier, a very difficult place to start your competition on the pommel horse.
It is indeed, and you can see here, those pommel handles, they're not very wide. And I suppose relative to the size of the gymnast and the width of the gymnast shoulders, it does make it very difficult to stay balanced, to get those hand placements accurate. So he did well to finish off the routine in style though.
Certainly did. And next up, this is a very busy gentleman, isn't it? He's been podcasting and all sorts in the last few months.
He has indeed. We have Winston Powell, again of City of Birmingham. You can see that Ramel, for his pommel horse routine, scored 9.6. Nice work there by Winston, very difficult. You can see hasn't quite got the same level of amplitude and speed to his routine as perhaps Joshua Nathan, but he's doing well. He's staying on the pommel horse and he's fighting. His second half there looks like he's found his rhythm a little bit more. You can see they're just, as those hips start to dip, the judges will pick up that and a little bit slow getting to the handstand, but nonetheless, he makes it through. Clean routine. Well done, Winston.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be happy to have that first routine in the bag. Like I say, yeah, he's been a busy boy. He's started himself a bit of a podcast, and it's been interesting to see, actually, how these guys that have just popped out of the junior ranks are a lot more engaged in social media and a bit more self-promotion, I suppose, than maybe it was back in your day.
Absolutely, and I think that's the modern-day athlete now. I think they have to build their own exposure. I think it's important for them to create a platform for themselves so that they can also just showcase themselves, but also help raise the profile of the sport as well. So I'm all for it, that's for certain.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's really interesting to see all these different endeavours, and he's doing a grand job of it. So Winston, keep on going.
can see on the pommel horse our next gymnast also represents the city of Birmingham, Zion Azir. And again, coached by Luke Folwell. And we can see Winston, for his routine, scored 12.35. So I'm just settling into the routine. Oh, unfortunately, you could see he stopped there. The judges will count that as a full stop. Oh, and again, I think probably just needs to jump off the pommel and reset. Very difficult. Once you become static on the pommel horse, it's so difficult then to pick back up and literally have to use all your strength as opposed to the momentum of the pommel horse swing. Oh, we go again. That's better. And moving onto the leather. And again, his sideways travel, really struggling on this apparatus today.
Pommel's definitely a piece that's dependent on maintaining that rhythm, isn't it? And like you say, it's so difficult when you've had one mistake, it kind of throws the whole routine off balance.
It does. It's obviously an apparatus that you just want to try and settle yourself and settle those nerves. It's usually at the start of a competition, you have a little bit more adrenaline. And you can see here, perhaps he's just not been able to get control of that. It's a little bit tricky, a little bit twitchy on the pommel horse.
So we say pommel's not always a fun place to start your competition. Where did you like to start your all-around if you got the choice?
I think typically rings is a good piece because you can use your strength, you can use that adrenaline. For me, that was always one of the better apparatus to be starting on. Or perhaps sometimes floor and vault, because you could use a little bit of your adrenaline and the sort of power that you're feeling from the start of the competition and channel those nerves and that energy in the right way. Pommel is the complete opposite. You need to be able to tamper that adrenaline and bring yourself down to a steady state to make sure then that you can stay in control.
And you could see coach Luke Folwell there doing his very best to bring the gymnast back into the room, reminding him no doubt that he's still got 5 pieces to go and the day is new and just begun.
Absolutely, and this is where we touched on how important the coach relationship is, because they have that experience. They would have been there themselves in this exact same position at some point in their career. So no doubt, words of wisdom by Luke Folwell. Our next gymnast representing Woking, Jamie Lewis.
A favourite for this title here today after some recent success at the English Championships, so definitely one to watch.
It's a good start there, the sheer into handstand. Typically has been a very good pommel horse worker over the past few years. Been part of the GB junior squad for many years, a junior European champion. And you can see there exactly why he's a good pommel horse worker. See plenty of amplitude and swinging in those flare elements. And then doing the same into the forwards travel. Just the dismount to go, up he goes. A little bit of a stop, but he's safely through. Excellent routine there by Jamie Lewis.
What a start, and just, I mean, anyone watching that can appreciate the difficulty of that routine. The flare elements in particular are just such a wow factor.
Indeed, and that routine certainly had a little bit of everything. You could see it had the intricate work on the one handles, it had the flares, it had the forward and the backward travels, and then also the dismount with the turn at the end as well. I'm sure he'll be very, very happy with that start.
For sure, and with his recent success, he's got to know that there's a bit of a weight on his shoulders today, hasn't he? He's got to know the pressure's on, so to deliver that performance, that was really quite something special.
It was actually, and I have to admit, the last competition he competed in probably surprised a few people in terms of what he scored at the English Championships, becoming English champion. It was a clean competition there, and he'll be hoping for the same today, and certainly hasn't done himself any harm there with that routine. See, this was the dismount at the end. A little bit of a stop. Ideally, the judges would like to see a bit more flow and speed getting into that handstand position, but Jamie will be happy with that.
Now, our next contender on the pommel is certainly not a stranger to any of our audience, I'm sure. Had a bit of success in Paris, didn't he?
Just a little. Olympic medalist, and also a current world champion on the vault as well. But funnily enough, didn't actually medal on the vault. It was the floor that he won a medal on. So it shows the calibre of this gymnast and the level he's competing at.
Yeah, an outstanding performer on the leg events, but also proving himself to be a steady competitor for the team on some of these support apparatus as well.
Definitely, and for me, the pommel horse is probably the apparatus where we've seen his routine probably excel over the last year or so, where you can see he's really gone back to basics, focused on building a good basic swing and making sure that he's reducing his deductions from the judges. And from what I've seen, he's certainly been improving on this apparatus and has now become not quite specialist perhaps, but certainly very, very good stock routine. So he can stay on the pommel horse today. It'll be another example of him living up to those expectations and making sure that he is going to be one of the gymnasts for the future of our sport.
Yeah, so Jake Jarman, of course, from Huntingdon, who have an incredible pedigree on the pommel horse. They've had lots of international medalists over the years, and I'm sure Jake will be wanting to replicate some of that star quality today.
Indeed, grown up watching the likes of Lou Smith, Dale Keating's on the pommel horse, 2 world medalists. So probably knows a thing or two about the pommel horse, I'd suggest. There you go, onto the Stockleys on the one handle. So difficult. It's a triple Russian skill in between. So hard to get those hand placements right. And again, there's the Russian skill on the one handle. This is good. You can see that hip extension there out the front, which is what the gymnasts are after. Tiny bit of hand skewing, which is ideally where the hands need to stay parallel. But it's a very good routine. Flows up into the handstand dismount. And again, shows why he's one of our best gymnasts right now.
An excellent start and a very, very warm reception from the crowd here in Liverpool. He's going to be an exciting gymnast to watch as this competition progresses.
He's also coached by Ben Hulls, who's had a lot of success over the past few days with an under-16 all-round champion, under-18 all-round champion. I don't think Jake is competing in the all-round today, so perhaps won't crown that senior title as well, but it's not been a bad weekend so far.
Not at all, and he's known Jake since he was a very young lad. I was chatting to him at a summer camp last year, and he was saying he, picked him up pretty much in a preschool class and said, that boy's going to be a world champion. And lo and behold, a few years later, here we are.
There you go. That's talent idea if I've ever heard of it, but sometimes that talent is just so obvious, and particularly when he gets on floor and vaults. I haven't really ever seen too many gymnasts quite like him in the British setup over the years, who just has that just pure natural ability, that spatial coordination in the air, as well as just those fast twitch fibres that allow him to get the height, the speed, and the power in his tumbling.
For sure. When I asked Ben what it was that he saw in him, he said a couple of years after they'd had him out of preschool, he saw him in a class and asked him to do a flick, and apparently just did a standing tuck back. There aren't many kids you'd ask to do that, and that's what they'd produce.
Well, there you go. And for his efforts, scores a 13.7, which puts him in 3rd position on the pommel horse so far. So a good start to his competition.
Yeah, a great score for that first rotation. As we mentioned, the boys are always just happy to go through clean on the pommel horse, so a great start to his championships here.
We can see the top score on the pommel horse so far is 14.05 from Joshua Nathan.
Okay, of course, we've had our focuses on the pommel horse in that first rotation. It looks like the competition has concluded, but right now we've got a chance to look back at Courtney Tulloch, the king of the rings.
Well, Courtney Tulloch, very experienced gymnast now, has been a world medalist in this very arena on this piece of apparatus, and knows a thing or two about strength. You can see why there, that Maltese element there, completely flat, certainly held it for the full 2 seconds. Solid in that handstand position, and then moves back into the top planche. Minimal movement. Ideally probably needs to hold some of these positions just a fraction of a tenth longer. And you can see, this is a good angle actually, where you can see the shoulders a little bit higher than the feet, so the judges will spot that. Some excellent work. And the triple back somersault. We mentioned we might see a few more of these somersaults dismounts over the course of this Olympic cycle, and that's a perfect example of it.
So good to see Courtney back in the competition arena. I know he had some serious disappointment last year when he wasn't selected for that Paris squad. He's been so close so many times to making Olympic team, but clearly back in at the M&S Bank Arena this year and looks like he's enjoying himself.
Indeed, it's a good start to his competition, scores 13.95. He took the big step back on the dismount, so did ever so well to make sure that he captured the landing and didn't give any further deductions away. You get all that height and all that rotation, sometimes it can be difficult to spot and just control the landing.
Absolutely. So we can see the standings after that first rotation of competition. Olympic medalist Harriet Hepworth is currently in the top spot with a 14.5, and Jonas Rustworth, his teammate from Leeds Gymnastics Club, just a 1/10 of a point behind, whilst Ruben Ward from the Manchester Academy of Gymnastics currently sits in 3rd place. So let's head back to the studio to see what Sam and Sydney made of that first round of competition.
Sam, we're underway. Tell me, who impressed you in that first rotation?
Well, Sydney, that was an unbelievable first rotation. All of the big gymnasts and the big names have hit their routines there. So we had some incredible performances, but Joshua Nathan started off brilliantly on the pommel horse, got a score of 14, and then we had Jamie Lewis again doing another great pommel horse routine, 13.95, and then Jake finishing up with a 13.7. So it's actually been about 20 years since we've not had the likes of Lewis Smith, Daniel Keatons, or Max Whitlock in a British pommel horse lineup. So it really is an open field on that apparatus. So I think we're gonna have a little look at a routine on the rings here from Oakley Banks, so we can see what Oakley did on the rings. So the rings is a very, very difficult apparatus. Quite often when you think of men's gymnastics, you think of the iron cross and the rings. We're going to have a little look at his routine. He has a beautiful long line. And you've got to make sure that you're holding all of these elements for 2 seconds. That's a beautiful crucifix. That skill's been upgraded in the new rules right now. And it's called the still rings because you're trying to keep them still, Sydney, so you don't want them to be moving too much. He's doing a really great job. Like I said, one of the taller gymnasts that we've got, so you can see that beautiful long line whenever he's in a position like a handstand. And that's a Jonasson and a Yamawaki skill, so the double somersaults, he's trying to keep his body tension there in the handstand. And we're getting ready for the dismount. And a double twisting double back, a great routine there from Oakley.
And Sam, you mentioned that this year, post-Olympics, the code of points for the men's gymnastics has changed. How is that affecting what we're going to be seeing?
Well, it's having a massive impact, Sydney, because the gymnasts are now going to be performing routines with only 8 skills instead of 10. So they're going to theoretically have a lot more of an endurance, and that endurance is going to help them do some big skills. So in men's gymnastics in this Olympic cycle, what's being valued really highly are the exciting, massive dismounts with triple somersaults, double twists, and obviously that is brilliant for the spectators and very, very exciting for anybody watching back home.
Well, they absolutely are loving it here in Liverpool. Our gymnasts are making their way around to the second rotations, and we are going to be seeing the Scottish champion Ruben Ward on the parallel bars. Has he impressed you so far, Sam?
Yeah, Ruben started incredibly well. Like you said, he's the Scottish champion. He won that title a few weeks ago, scored a 14.2 on the vault, did a triple twist, a very, very difficult vault. Another young gymnast that's only recently moved up to the senior ranks. So an amazing performance, and I'm very much looking forward to his routine on the parallel bars. And I think we've got another vault here to watch, Sydney. So we've got Sam Mustafi on the vault. Sorry, we've got Sam on the rings, so Sam's going to do his rings routine. So Sam represents Pegasus, the gymnastics club where Courtney Tulloch grew up, so these guys know how to do rings. And a very strong start from Sam. So he does the Azarian, which is the back circle to a crucifix. Again, really nice long lines, great toe point. He's looking to hold all of these skills for a full 2 seconds. It's very hard when you're doing a rings routine and you've got the adrenaline going through your body to slow things down and hold it for those 2 seconds. He's got to try and control this handstand. He does a great job. See what dismount we've got. So another double-double and a great routine, a really solid start for Sam.
These young gymnasts have really been impressing so far in the first rotation, and there's still so much for them to go. We're only on rotation 2. Who are you looking forward to seeing, Sam?
So some of the performances we didn't see there live in the broadcast. Harry Hepworth on vault. incredible performance on the vault, so he scored an average of 14.5. So Harry is an Olympic medalist on vault. So I'm excited to see Harry throughout the rest of this competition. Like you said, we had Courtney Tulloch on the rings. He did a great routine. He did the triple back somersault. So there, Courtney's going after those big bucks and trying to land that dismount. And another thing that we should point out, that the men now have a sticking bonus. So if the gymnast sticks his landing, regardless of how low he's landing, he gets a 0.1 bonus. So that dismount is worth so much. So expect to see a lot of triple somersaults today.
We'll absolutely be focusing on all of those. And Katie mentioned in commentary that Courtney Tulloch has had an unlucky few years. And I think you could tell today that he's just... the grit and determination on his face to prove himself was clearly there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had a conversation yesterday, Sydney, with Courtney, and he told me that actually if the rules hadn't changed and it hadn't dropped to 8 skills, he thinks he would have finished. So that's a gymnast that's benefited from this new code of points. Courtney obviously feels that at 8 skills, he's going to be still competitive with the best gymnasts in the world. And like you said, Courtney's missed out on that Olympic Games experience. I'm sure that's in the back of his mind. Look, it's a long 4 years, but the level of gymnastics that Courtney is doing, he will still be in the mix in 4 years' time.
Well, he's fortunate that the skills have gone down to stay around, but the crowd that we can see here in Liverpool are also clearly thrilled at the skills that they're getting to see on the competition floor. Our gymnasts will shortly be finishing up their warm-ups for rotation 2. So we'll be passing you back over to Katie Foster and Kristian Thomas in our commentary booth.
Thank you very much, Sydney. Thank you, Sam. Gymnasts now just final preparations before they get ready to perform, get their mindset ready. It's not just always about the physical side to the sport, it's also about the psychological side and how they prepare as well mentally.
For sure. These guys will have done hundreds of routines in training over the last few weeks and months. But it really is down to the mentality and the mental toughness to perform those routines when the pressure is on and when you have to raise your hand to the judges.
Indeed. And also what's quite interesting, sometimes gymnasts that have a great start to the competition, how do you maintain that and not get too far ahead of yourself? Make sure you stay process driven, not just thinking about the end of the routines. And equally, those that haven't had the great start to the competition, how do they remotivate themselves to get themselves back into it?
Yeah, gymnastics is definitely as much a mental sport as it is a physical one, and that's certainly saying something because it's pretty tough physically too. So we're going to be turning our attention to the P-bars in this rotation. The guys just making their final preparations. They do get a little bit longer on the P-bars, don't they, to warm up than other apparatus because they have quite specific settings, don't they?
Yes, they do. They have a little bit longer so that they can make sure that the grip's where it needs to be. You can see here now, almost just caressing the P-bars to make sure that the grip is what it needs to be. The chalk, sometimes there's syrup, there's honey involved. There's all sorts of concoctions and mixtures just to get that grip as accurate as the gymnast wants. And that's very individual to each gymnast. So the next gymnast will come on and set it up slightly differently, and that's almost part of competing on P-bars, making sure you get the grip to how you need it.
And the guys can change the width of the P-bars as well, can't they?
Indeed, so you could see there those sort of red toggles at the top of the parallel bars. You can sort of move them inwards, move them outwards, and again that's depends on usually the width of the shoulders of the gymnast and also personal preference as well.
Yeah, the gymnasts are expected to work between the bars, under the bars, over the bars, and often you'll see them going across to one rail as well. So really the precision of that setting is imperative, isn't it?
Oh, it makes a massive, massive difference. It really does. Those red toggles that I just mentioned earlier, that you can move inwards, you can move them outwards. You can see here now, just preparing himself. Elliot Vernon of Leeds Gymnastics Club. Coach there, Dave Murray, pulling out the springboard. There's the undersummy with a half turn. Just a slight leg split. That was clean. And then the giant skill. Just settles down now into his routine, has a breather. It's a good handstand position there as he moves into the heelie, but you could see there caught on a bent arm. That was his right arm that he caught. Just almost killed all of his momentum. There's the dismount, big dismount, double front there.
I'm sure he would have liked to be a little bit cleaner in that routine, but certainly not a bad effort. And the impact on P-bars of losing that momentum, not quite as bad as it is on the pommel horse.
Yeah, you're able to sort of, I guess, restart a little bit easier on the parallel bars. You could see it was that one skill that you had to take the extra swing, so that is the deduction. But the rest of the routine was very clean. So I think the score-wise, it should still be okay.
And just debriefing there with his teammates from Leeds Gymnastics Club. These guys have had a tremendous amount of success at not just these British Championships, but at a wide variety of international competitions over the last few cycles. The consistency with which they're producing exceptional performance is just outstanding.
Indeed, and you can see here that they're all benefiting from that, and what we mentioned earlier, training as a group, able to push each other on to bigger and better things, and that's certainly helped raise the level of everyone who's training at the Leeds Gymnastics Club. Also home to Olympic medalist Niall Wilson. So again, they've certainly been having a consistent amount of success now for a good number of years. And it's great to see the coaches, Tom Rawlinson, Dave Murray, Andrew Butcher, all contributing to that success.
Yeah, it's a really great team up there in Leeds, and I think they all complement each other really nicely. Dave always seems such a cool, calm, collected character, doesn't he?
Well, I think that's important for the gymnasts. When they see that the coach is calm, that just gives that good level of energy for the gymnasts. I think that's really, really important because if the coach is getting a little bit elevated, is getting a little bit excited, you can feel that as a gymnast, and almost you want the complete opposite. You want calm, you want composed, which is really important.
Definitely. And in fact, there's so many men taking part in this competition today from Leeds. They've got lads competing across two different pieces of apparatus at the moment, just a hair's breadth away from each other on the P-bars and the high bar at the same time. But I'm sure lots of team support between all of the guys from Leeds Gymnastics Club.
We're just waiting for the score of Elliot Vernon to come in. And it looks like it's just coming now, 12.2. And they'll be moving on to our next gymnast, Henry Lewis. See there, starts with the undersummy. And there's the studs. You can see there just a few leg errors where the legs have either come apart or bent when they're not supposed to. Those expert judges meticulously watching all the details. And there's the dismount. And we'll also get that stick bonus that Sam referenced there. Good dismount.
It's a good feeling when your feet don't move when they hit the floor, isn't it?
Indeed, and even more so when you know you're getting an extra 0.1 bonus for it as well.
Absolutely. You mentioned the judges there. We've got panels of sort of 4 to 6 judges on the various apparatus here in Liverpool. And they've got a very important job to do. Those guys have got to work out both the difficulty value of the routines that are being presented, and also have the difficult job of taking those points away for all the little bits and bobs when they don't quite go to plan. The little bent knees, the flexed feet. It's a very intricate and detailed job being a judge.
It is. There's a lot that goes into it. You can see there, these are the sort of things I'll be looking at. See those slight hand movements? The judges will pick up on that. A slight bent leg there as he moves into the front upright position. They'll pick up on that, but nothing to take off on the dismount now in terms of the landing.
No, it's a very good feeling as a gymnast when you manage to cap your routine off like that. And certainly a nice exclamation point to leave in the judge's mind before they do go to work working out that score for the routine.
You can see here our next gymnast on the parallel bars, just preparing his hands now. There's that grip that we talked about, which is really, really important. You can see there that mental rehearsal as well, practicing the routine in his mind, getting a feel for what it might feel like once he's up there competing, steadying, calming those nerves.
You can see he's got his own bag of chalk there as well. The gymnasts can be quite particular about what variety of chalk they use. You'll see quite a few of the girls later using block chalk, but the boys tend to lean towards powder, don't they?
They do, and I think typically that's because it's easy to spread on the apparatus, such as the parallel bars. You do see some of the male gymnasts using some of the block chalk as well, but for me it was all about the powder chalk. I preferred that for sure. And we can see the score that came in for Henry Lewis on the parallel bars was 12.25. Now moving to Patrick Watkinson. There's the Healy scale. Changes direction. There's the undersemi a little bit slow. Getting to that handstand position. Those hand placements there that we mentioned, that's what the judges really were making sure that they capture in their deductions. There's the Diamondov. And into the double pike dismount. Cleanly through from Patrick.
Yes, a clean conclusion to that routine, but no stick bonus on this occasion. So for the elimination of any doubt, a stuck dismount, as far as we're concerned, is one where your feet hit the floor and they do not move. That being said, the judges can also take deductions for things like trunk movement or extra arm swings, can't they? So you do have to weigh up whether it's worth taking that little pace or if you think you can find your balance by another method.
Indeed, that's my understanding as well. I think as long as your heels don't come off the floor, then that counts as your stick, but doesn't necessarily mean you won't incur deductions if your arms are then trying to keep you on balance and moving, and also the trunk of your body as well. You can see there, that's the dismount, the double pike dismount. Cleanly through, just a small hop forward on the landing. Our next gymnast that will be competing is Ruben Ward.
He's been an exceptional junior coming up through the ranks, hasn't he? And it's exciting to see him on this senior stage today.
Because it's always nice to see when that transition from juniors to seniors is a success. It's not always the easiest of transitions. You're competing against some of the best gymnasts, not just in this country, but ultimately the world. So it is difficult, but also I think at the same time encouraging. Typically, I think we do a pretty good job of that within the GB gymnastics setup.
And this time around a little bit easier than maybe it has been in the past, with that change to the men's code, whereby it is still the 8 skills, which has been typical for the juniors anyway.
Absolutely, I think that really will make a difference. Oh, and that's a difficult start there by Ruben. A rather unusual start as well, the clear circle from the one rail. You could see there that his feet overshot the parallel bars, which then meant he wasn't able to stay within the rails.
So he's obviously decided to apply a little bit more of that honey or golden syrup, it might be, to his hands. How long do the guys have to chalk back up before they can get back on the apparatus?
So they'll have 30 seconds. You can see they have to make sure that it's a quick 30 seconds as well, or it feels certainly quick. I know 30 seconds is 30 seconds, but it certainly feels more quicker than that when you're quickly having to readjust, recompose yourself and get back into the flow of the routine. Again, you can see there, not quite the start to his parallel bars routine he was hoping, but that was clean. Front somersault from the upper arms, known as the Honma. Slightly better work there than the cut skill. And then into the Healy. Starting to settle now into the routine, but much of the damage has been done. You can see there rather uncharacteristic mistakes here by Ruben, I have to admit. I do wonder whether he just hasn't quite composed himself the way that he's needed to finish off this routine.
Yeah, he certainly seems unsettled, doesn't he? Which isn't what you want to be on the P-bars.
Very similar in terms of the pommel horse, where it's important to find that rhythm. Try and utilise the momentum of the swinging elements, but also try and stay composed because it is quite an intricate apparatus. Here's the dismount. Double front somersault with the half turn. That's the first one I've seen today of those. Quite popular dismount, but also very difficult dismount at the same time.
And you can see the disappointment on his face there. Obviously not the routine that he wanted to produce. And I think there is also something to be said for when you step up into these senior ranks. I know Sydney in the studio mentioned earlier, we've got record-breaking ticket sales here today, and the difference between the spectators for a junior day of competition versus a senior day. I mean, this arena is packed. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of noise from the crowd, and it is a bit of a different vibe to a junior competition.
It is, to be honest, this arena right now with the crowds, it feels more like a European Championships, maybe even a World Championships as well, which probably suggests the great job And the great opportunity that the British gymnasts have to compete in front of these audiences, for me, that certainly is a bonus, because it puts you under the limelight and it gets you prepared for what a major championships might feel like. But it is also very, very difficult if it's your first time and you're stepping into this environment to actually ignore everything else that's going on. It takes a lot of practice to be able to switch off from all the outside noise and just concentrate on your gymnastics.
Yeah, it's a big skill that these gymnasts need to learn, isn't it? So, like we mentioned earlier, there'll be lots of new skills going into routines this year, just to test and feel them out a little bit at the beginning of this Olympic cycle. Because you really do want to know that when you put your hand up in 4 years' time at the 2028 British Championships and coming towards those Olympic trial selection events, that you're really confident and composed about what you're about to perform.
Absolutely. And our next gymnast on the parallel bars, Connor Sullivan from Leeds Gymnastics Club. Opts for the Healy start to settle into the routine. And into the underbar work, which is the undersummy. The giant there does well just to move his hand to make sure that he can continue with the routine. Very steady in the lifter handstand. Opts not for the dismount. I do wonder whether that's perhaps an injury, perhaps just to protect himself, maybe a lower limb injury.
Yes, but still nice that he's had the opportunity to kind of put that routine out, and we've noted that some of the gymnasts aren't competing on all apparatus today, so you know, in some instances you might be using this as a tester for new routines or for new skills, so great that you still have the opportunity to put the routine out there, even if you opted not to pop a dismount on the end.
We are starting to near the end of this second rotation. It's been a very quick competition so far. It certainly felt quick. One gymnast up after the next.
It has. We'll be welcoming the women's artistic competitors into the arena in rotation number 3. Mentioned earlier that the boys, of course, compete across 6 apparatus and the women only 4. So they'll be joining us for the conclusion of this competition.
Get another look at this routine, and we can see there that was the Healy skill. Very cleanly done. This is the skill here where I just said there's that right hand, had to just very quickly adjust in the air to make sure that it didn't impact the rest of the routine, and that's experience right there, and trying to know that in the air it doesn't quite feel right and having to make that adjustment.
Yeah, split-second decisions are often what gymnastics is all about, being able to make those adjustments. So we can take a look at the rankings now in this men's senior competition. Currently in 3rd place, it's Jamie Lewis from Woking Gymnastics Club. In 2nd, it's Mikey Goddard from Leeds, and his teammate Jonas Rushworth is currently sitting in the top spot. In fact, actually, they're tied, both 26.9, both from Leeds Gymnastics Club. They'll be wanting to battle to keep their standings right on top of the podium. So after 2 action-packed rotations of competition, let's throw it back and see what Sam and Sydney have got to say.
Sydney, another great rotation there, and we saw some exciting gymnastics, but we also saw a few mistakes from some of the big competitors. We saw Ruben had a difficult time there on the parallel bars after his fantastic vault, and some of the gymnasts on the high bar from Leeds that did really well in that previous rotation made some mistakes, but the gymnasts that did really well on the pommel horse, very solid again on the ring. So some incredible gymnastics that I'm seeing. We can see from the standings there that Jonas Rushworth is tied in 1st, and even though he had a mistake on the high bar, he did a loop-in skill, which is an incredibly difficult skill on the high bar, one of the most difficult, and that helped him keep his score high enough to be in 1st at the moment. So some incredible gymnastics again in that rotation.
Absolutely, and the crowd absolutely loved it, and you can probably hear them behind me now going absolutely wild, because as Katie mentioned, our female all-around gymnasts are joining us in the arena for the final 4 rotations, and it's going to be so exciting. As Becky Downey mentioned earlier, the field is wide open, but I have no doubt that this crowd is going to go absolutely crazy when Olympic, world and European medalist Jessica Gadarova makes her return to competition. She's only competing on the beam and the bars. Viewers will know that she had an ACL reconstruction surgery a year ago, which took her out of the Olympics, but she is going to be ready to compete again and try and retain her title. We're going to take a look at Jonas Rushworth's horizontal bars from the last rotation as our gymnasts start their warm-up. Talk me through this routine, Sam.
Well, it was an incredible routine, Sydney, and what I was looking out for was whether or not he was going to perform the very difficult full twist and straight Kachev skill. I think we're going to get a chance to see it here straight away. So you can see it's an incredibly technical skill. There's so much happening in such a short space of time. Performs it, a bit difficult, manages to wrestle through, and the rest of the routine is brilliant all the way up until his dismount, where he has a bit of a mistake and he puts his hands down. But the technique that we're seeing here and the way that these Leeds gymnasts are swinging the high bar, it's incredible. I'm not surprised. We had Ashley Watson and Niall Wilson, Olympic medalist on the high bar, that they have this pedigree on this apparatus. But a beautiful routine that we're seeing here from Jonas. He's going to wind up. Look, his goal here is to land the dismount and go for that stick bonus as well.
That's high praise indeed from the 2021 horizontal bar champion. It is such a difficult piece of apparatus, isn't it, Sam?
It really is, and when you get to the end of that routine there, Sydney, you know, you're just thinking, just put it on my feet, put it in the right position. But, you know, I'm sure he's incredibly tired. He's performed some incredible skills there, and he had one of the highest scores of the first rotation on the parallel bars. So he said to me yesterday that the parallel bars and the high bar were the apparatus he was really focusing on, and he showed some incredible gymnastics to the audience today.
Yeah, he'll be thrilled with that performance. Obviously a bit gutted with putting his hands down. But, you know, those things, mistakes happen. But as you heard Sol say earlier, that there's still 4 rotations left. There's still a chance to prove themselves and really step up.
And that's the advantage that the men have, Sydney. There's 6 apparatus, right? So Jonas has taken a mistake there on the high bar, but there is still plenty of time, and there's so much that's going to happen. I know that in a moment, this crowd and the audience is going to almost double in volume when the girls enter and they start doing their performances on the apparatus, so I'm sure that's going to help the men. And I think the next routine that we're going to watch is from Jack Stanley. So yeah, we've got another high bar routine here. I think Jack is remounting the bar after a mistake, after a fall. So the high bar is such an incredibly difficult apparatus because, you know, it seems pretty obvious, but you've got to let go and you've got to catch it again. And that high bar is 2.8 meters high and it's made out of steel. So a very nerve-wracking apparatus to compete on. But it's probably one of the apparatus that the audience and the fans and the spectators look forward to the most, because I always say, if it goes well, it looks amazing, and if it doesn't go well, it still looks amazing.
Well, talk me through that mindset. As you mentioned, Jack had a fall at the beginning of his routine. How do you brace yourself to get back up and get on that bar?
Well, that's an incredible question, Sydney, and I was in that position at the London 2012 Olympic Games in front of 20,000 people and 12 million people watching on TV, and I fell from the high bar, and you have 30 seconds to compose yourself, think very quickly about what it is that you're going to do next, and you have to try and stay calm in that situation so you don't make another mistake. But it's very, very hard to do. It's all about mindset. But these guys, like I said, they train with each other day in, day out, and they learn from some of the very best. And more often than not, they are the gymnasts that came before them, and we've got the likes of Kristian Thomas in our commentary box, who has performed that Lukin skill on the high bar and has been in high bar finals himself. So learning from the experience of the gymnasts that you train with in your gym.
Absolutely. And heading back to our commentary box, I know that Katie Foster will be very excited as our female gymnasts head onto the floor. And so in a bit, we'll be able to hear who she's excited by. We'll be focusing on our floor gymnasts first, where we'll be able to see the Roper twins. They're 19, training down at Piper's Vale. And a lot of fans will know of the Gadarovas twins, but the Roper twins are also really making a name for themselves in the Welsh training squad. They'll be eyeing up the Commonwealth Games in 2026. And Sam, you represented Team England in 2014. How is it different representing GB or England?
That's a great question again, Sydney. All of these gymnasts here will be representing a home nation, so whether that is England, Scotland, Wales, and obviously Ireland as well, and Northern Ireland. Now, the Commonwealth Games is one of the only opportunities you've got to represent that home nation. So for me, I was incredibly proud to represent England at that Commonwealth Games in 2014. And most of the athletes in this arena will have one eye on the Commonwealth Games. So they'll be thinking about this being the first step towards Glasgow, a home Commonwealth Games, an incredible opportunity, and it's going to be very exciting. So I'm excited to see which gymnasts perform well in this first rotation on the floor, and I think we're going to pass over very soon to the commentary box. We're going to hear from Katie and Kristian.
Thank you so much, guys. And you're quite right. I am delighted and incredibly excited that we now welcome our WAG gymnasts to this competition arena. I'm sure the audience watching at home might have heard the reaction when Jess Gadarova was announced into this Liverpool M&S Bank Arena, because let me tell you now, it was incredibly loud. There are definitely some fans here who are excited to see her.
I was also thinking, Katie, just how busy the gym felt as soon as all the women gymnasts entered. It certainly felt on the warmth there, just a hive of activity.
For sure, if you're taking part in the touch warm-up on floor when it's the men and the women going together, it's a hive of activity. And thankfully we managed to avoid any collisions during that warm-up. But we've got a very exciting performer starting on the floor. It's no other than Luke Whitehouse from Leeds Gymnastics Club. Olympic floor medalist, not medalist, sorry, finalist.
But it's okay when he's a medalist, a double European champion medalist on this apparatus. So very experienced. There's the triple back, very well performed there. Lots of height, lots of momentum, good landing as well. And again, excellent work there, combining those front skills, double twist into the double front. There's the triple twist down the side. Also looks like there's been an addition of the Olympic rings tattoo on his arm. Should imagine that's been new since the Paris Olympics in the summer. Gymnasts have the 70 seconds to perform the routine. There's the 2.5 twist into the straight front forwards. And this is the new addition from the new code and rules that we talked about. Gymnasts have to incorporate their balance into their routine now and hold that balance still. There's a dismount, double twist in double back. Excellent routine there by the double European champion, Luke Whitehouse.
Just outstanding air awareness throughout that routine. It was a very minor mistake to the untrained eye in the Paris floor final that kept him out of the medals, but he truly is an outstanding international competitor on this piece of apparatus, isn't he?
He is, and what I like about his routine is that it has everything. It has the power skills, it has the somersaults, it has the twists, it has the combinations. Now also with the balance, so it has a little bit of everything.
Yeah, any routine that starts out with a triple back is A-OK by me. We get the first of our women's artistic performers now on the floor. This is Tegan Trafford from Summit Gymnastics. Tegan was a very successful junior athlete and a standout performer here on the floor, opening with a huge full twisting double back somersaults. Now you'll notice the girls putting a huge focus on the artistry of these routines. One of the changes that we've had in our code of points this cycle is additional artistry deductions, and there's a significant focus on musicality. So you'll really see the performers trying to sell their routines, making sure their style and movements match exactly with the music, whilst meeting all of the gymnastic requirements too. You can see Tegan working hard there through her leap series, building the difficulty using tourgette elements as well as turning change leg leaps. All of these routines have to be cleverly choreographed to make sure the girls have got enough energy left for the big gymnastic skills, whilst also really selling the performance. You can see she's had a quieter section of dance on the floor and a big shrug of the shoulders as she takes a breath for this last tumble. 2.5 twist, just the pace forwards. A little bit of leg form in the air on that somersault, so the judges can take a small deduction there. But a big wow of a finish and a fantastic first routine for Tegan Trafford.
Well, I can let you know that Luke Whitehouse scored 14.15 for his floor routine. Certainly will be one of the highest scorers on floor. In fact, it is the highest score right now, but we do have some other pretty impressive gymnasts still to go. Yeah,
no doubt. We have got some big performers here on the floor. And one of the things with the code of points changing is we've got to adjust our mindset a little bit about what a top score is, haven't we? I guess now the guys are only counting 8 skills. Those best scores are going to be a little bit lower than we've been used to seeing.
Definitely, I think where perhaps previously you might have seen the mid-14s, the high 14s being excellent world-class scores, probably reduce that 4 to 5 tenths, which is around about what Luke's scoring today. Although his teammate here, Michael Goodhart, is off to a good start as well on the floor. There's a double twist backwards down the side. Showing that strength and balance there, the lift to handstand. Make sure he holds it for 2 seconds. There's the triple twist. Opts now back to another side pass. Straight back down the side. There's the Y balance. It is a balance, but particularly in the Y position, also involves a good range of flexibility as well. And the double pike somersault to finish. Very good routine there by Michael. Perhaps didn't have quite the same level of difficulty as Luke Whitehouse, but very clean nonetheless, and should score very well from that routine.
Definitely happy with that performance on the floor. Greeted by coach Tom Rawlinson and giving a bit of a fist bump to the camera. It's really nice to see these gymnasts satisfied with their performances after all of the hard work and training. Next up, we have one of the Roper twins that Sydney mentioned earlier. This is Abigail Roper. She's got some great difficulty here on the floor, and I do love this routine, which is a bit of a superhero theme. So we're going to want to see courage and power to match that music, and Abby is certainly the gymnast to do it. Opening with a big, full twisting double tuck, and not a lot the judges will be able to take on that landing either. The female gymnasts have to combine difficult tumbling as well as dance elements to build their start value. And you'll see combination tumbles such as this one, straight front walk out through to 2.5 twist. The female competitors have to show both forwards and backwards tumbling elements, and they have to decide how best to balance their routine composition to ensure they're ticking the boxes and building the highest difficulty score possible. So you'll often see our gymnasts using a front somersault walkout at the start of a tumble and finishing on a larger end skill to make sure they've ticked the box of having a forward salto in the routine, but still building that big difficulty score. Abby, a powerful finish there with a lovely double back. And one of the things to note in the women's code of points that has changed this time around is a dismount bonus. So when the gymnasts finish their final skill with a D-valued move or higher, they do get a 0.2 bonus. So Abby will have earned that there for that beautiful double tack at the end of that routine.
Well, if we revert back to the previous routine, Michael Goodhart, he scored 13.2.
Can we kindly ask
a good score from him.
refrain from using any
Our next gymnast to take the floor in the men's competition represents Heathrow Gymnastics Club. They're going to quickly switch to the vault first, though. Jake's already performed one vault very cleanly. He's 3.5 twists. One of the few gymnasts in the world to be able to do that. Opting here for his Dragolescu vault. There's a handspring double front with the half turn. Has to take a step back and just readjust his landing, but 2 excellent vaults by Jake. You can see why he's one of the best gymnasts in the world on this apparatus.
For sure. His air awareness is just unlike... I think he's a bit tired after that. Yeah, his air awareness is just absolutely superhuman, isn't it? Whether it's the twisting elements or the multiple somersaults, he just seems to know exactly where he is and can find that landing every time.
Indeed, and probably what's quite unique about Jake, he's a very slight gymnast. You can see there just the height that he gets on that. His heels almost together as he made contact with the vault as well. Judges will be looking at that. Judges also will be making sure that they deduct for the landings, and also that awareness in terms of opening out in time to catch the landing as well in that their body position.
And you heard the roar of the crowd just there. That was Jess Gadarova safely through her bar routine. She's a very, very popular performer here this afternoon, and hopefully we'll catch her on the beam just a little bit later. Now, next up, it looks like we are Going to see our second routine of the day from Joshua Nathan, representing the City of Birmingham Gymnastics Club here on the vault.
Well, we've seen Josh on the pommel have an excellent start to his competition. There you can see the double twist, stays on his feet. Probably not one of his strongest apparatus, but you can see there, high five from the coach. I think both are happy. I think for them, that's certainly an apparatus that they know is not as difficult as some of these other apparatuses. It's just about safely, securely getting through the vault. And there you can see, up in the air, there's the double twist. You can see he has to pipe down a little bit on the landing, which we talked about earlier. That body position on the landing doesn't quite have the same height as some of the other gymnasts. So judges will take deductions for that. But it's a clean routine.
It's a tall order for these men to be putting together 6 big routines across the afternoon. And I can only imagine how difficult that is in training. It's hard enough coaching the girls to do 4 pieces, but 6 for the men must make it very difficult. We're just hopping across the floor now, though. This is Erin Broughton from Notts Gymnastics Academy. She was a member of the GB Junior squad in the last year and is a terrific performer on the floor. She was a floor finalist here last year, and she's done tremendously well to be here this afternoon. She's been suffering with a few injuries in the last 12 months. It's her first competition back pretty much since last year's British Championships, actually, but she's a fabulous worker on the floor and delighted to see her put that routine cleanly to her feet. She's a big personality in the gym and always has a smile on her face. And no doubt coaches Jodie Kyman and Sarah Middleton will be happy to see her having a successful performance here in Liverpool.
You can see there, that's Ramel running back from the vault. We've seen him on the pommel horse earlier. He's just completed the handspring double front. He was cleanly through. There's a little wave to in the audience. And here we get to see a replay of his vault. Strong run up. There you could see very quickly accelerates from that vaulting table into the somersault position. 2 somersaults in the air from the handspring position.
Absolute pure power there down the vault run. And I can only imagine he excels on the floor as well with power like that.
Certainly one of his stronger apparatus. You get a good look here, just at all the activity that's going on. We told you there was a lot going on. Sometimes difficult to capture exactly who to be watching next.
Yeah, there are a lot of superstar gymnasts around the arena right now. Jemima Taylor over on the beam for Team Wales. It looks like we're going to catch the conclusion of that floor routine.
Well, that was Trig Dudley from Heathrow Gymnastics Club completing his floor routine.
Heathrow, another club that had a very busy weekend of competition here in Liverpool, represented on both the men's and women's artistic sides.
Standing there with his coach, Tom Barnes.
And here from Sheffield Workshop, we've got Nina Deary taking it to the floor. Starting with a lovely double tuck back somersaults. All of the gymnasts that you can see here today have had to qualify to this championships via their home nation competition. So over the last few weeks, we've had the English, Scottish and Welsh national championships. And the top-ranked performers from those competitions have earned the right to be here in Liverpool this weekend. So they really are the cream of the crop. A tidy 1.5 twist for her second tumble. And does well with the split jump full turn as well. That's a C value element. And all of the gymnasts here in this senior competition will be hoping to tally up lots of C and D value elements in order to have a good start value for their routines. Cleanly through the double spin there at the end. A steady performance there for Nina. And a lovely clean performance on the floor. So it's a very busy arena here, isn't it? You can go from having moments of quiet to all the apparatus going, and now we're kind of back to a moment of quiet again. Just Courtney Tulloch over on his own on the P-bars over there.
Well, I think at any given point we've got world-class gymnastics, which I think is the most important bit, and certainly what the audience are here to see. Our next gymnast on the floor, representing Leeds, Jack Stanley. Beautiful double twisting double back there, kicked out as well, so that's 2 somersaults and 2 twists in the tuck position. And again, another clean landing, 2.5 twists backwards, immediately into the straight front. It's 2.5 twists forwards, had to take a jump to the side. And then the lift to handstand. Showing good balance. This is his moment here to capture his breath as well. During the floor routine, it's only 70 seconds. You don't get too many opportunities to do that. It's a good 3.5 twist backwards by Jack. Solid landing as well. Certainly packing the difficulty in. That's not too bad either. The triple twist down the side as a side pass. Usually a lot of gymnasts tend to finish with that as a dismount. And then the double Arabian with the half turn to finish. Could see just starting to run out of steam a little bit towards the end, but managed to fight it, stay on his feet. You can see there, he looks exhausted.
It's definitely a test of stamina, isn't it, a floor routine? It's back-to-back tumbling for, you know, just over a minute. It's like a 70-second sprint.
Indeed, and each one of those tumbles takes everything you need, 100% effort and momentum and power into all of those tumbles. So to do multiple big tumbling, such as Jack was doing there, it's no easy feat.
Now, you may think you're seeing double here, but this is the other of the Roper twins. This is Emily Roper. We saw her sister Abby just a few moments ago on the floor. Emily also a member of the Welsh long list for the Commonwealth Games team. And actually the Welsh team this year have got a real battle for those places. There's an exceptional group of Welsh gymnasts who are going to be battling out for that opportunity to represent in Glasgow in 2026. Nicely through the tourjete half. Change half and popping the poker leap on the end of there as well. A smart way to build some difficulty without taking up too much more time in the routine. As Emily works towards her second tumble, handspring straight front full. Another C-valued element, so building the difficulty here nicely. Quite a different style of music to her sister's routine earlier, but moving well with the music. As she opts for a sky-high double tuck for her dismount, so once again attracting that D dismount bonus. An extra 0.2 added to the gymnast start value in this code of points. And a very clean and tidy routine indeed for Emily Roper. I'm sure both the sisters are going to be delighted with that first rotation of competition. I'm loving their leotards as well, very sparkly. They look like strong, powerful uniforms for the girls to be wearing as they battle their way around this Liverpool arena. It's a big thing for the girls, Chris, these leotards for the British Championships. I get the impression the boys normally just wear their kind of standard club kit.
I think you'd be correct. There's probably not quite so much the meticulous planning that goes into it as you see on the women's side.
Oh yeah, months of planning to get it right.
Here's our current leader, Jonas Rushworth from Leeds. There's a double twist indoor back. cleanly through. There's certainly plenty of height. There's a double front somersault. Catches the landing well. And then the triple twist down the side. You can see just this slight stutter there. And again also as he goes to handstand. It does well. Does well to fight. Make sure he carries on with his routine. There's a 2.5 twist into the straight front. And there you can see opting for a slightly different balance, the arabesque, rather than the Y balance that we've seen a lot of so far. Moves towards the back end of his routine now. Almost time for the dismount. There's a double pike somersault. Clean routine there by Jonas, who was in top spot, or joint top spot, I should say, sorry, before this event. I think he'll be there or thereabouts still amongst the medals after floor as well.
He's definitely a contender, isn't he? He did really well with a couple of the landings there. Could have easily taken a larger step or a bigger deduction, but actually was very composed in how he handled those landings.
He was, I think, the only sort of mistake really was that stutter into handstand. But you can see there the cheer, double fist, the tongue gate. He seems happy enough with it though. That's all that matters.
Another exciting round of competition there. Some fantastic scores have come in. I'm hoping we can show you some rankings in just a second, but a very exciting comeback for Jessica Gadarova, who performed on the bars. Going to take a look at the boys first though. So currently in third position, it's Joshua Nathan from the city of Birmingham. In second place, we mentioned him at the top of the show as a contender, it's Jamie Lewis from Woking Gymnastics Club. And our current leader in the men's all-around is Mikey Goddard from Leeds Gymnastics Club. But as you can see, it's tight at the top and there's still everything to play for.
Also worth noting that we are still waiting for Jonas Rushworth's floor score to come in, so therefore not quite amongst the medals just yet, but I'm sure he will be.
Yes, I'm no doubt he'll be up there when the scores come in. So it's been an exciting round of competition. Sydney, you're quite right. I was delighted to see the women take to the floor. How do you find that rotation of competition?
I think I found it just as exciting as you did, Katie. It was jam-packed, wasn't it, Sam? We're trying to keep up with all the action, but with each piece of apparatus in play, the excitement never stops for the fans in here. We ended there with Jonas Rushworth on floor. How impressive has he been, Sam?
He's been incredibly impressive, and we talked about the mistake he had there at the end of his high bar routine in the last rotation. Very important after a mistake like that to put it to bed, focus on the next apparatus, and he came out with a great floor routine on his own, the whole arena watching him, which is a nerve-wracking place to be, but a great routine, and we saw some unbelievable performances from both the men and the women. We saw Jake on vault score a 15.1. I'm pretty confident that'll be the highest score of the day, and Luke Whitehouse with the triple back on floor doing an amazing routine. But we also had the introduction of the women as well.
Yeah, I think the crowd and everybody at home will be thrilled with Jessica Gadarova's return to the competition, and it absolutely did not disappoint. She started on the uneven bars, and I think we'll be able to take a look at her routine now. But she just showed sheer confidence, didn't she, Sam? She was just committed to the routine. And viewers will know that she had an ACL injury, which kept her out for over a year. But obviously with that kind of injury, bar work is something that she could have improved on. We can see her coach, Josh, there from Aylesbury Gymnastics Club, stepping in just to support her and ensure she has the confidence she needs to deliver on that routine. The coaching setup at Aylesbury is Josh and Molly, a sibling duo, which I'm sure brings an exciting dynamic to the club, but you can just see their big smile on her face, and the crowds were going absolutely crazy, giving them a wave exactly as she should. It's been a tough road. Injury's hard in this sport, isn't it, Sam?
Incredibly difficult, Sydney, and to come back from an ACL reconstruction like that is a massive, massive challenge, and one that she will have worked very closely with her coaching team and also her support team as well. They play a key role in a comeback like that. But for me, the big thing that stood out watching her routine was just that rock-solid confidence. I was completely assured that she was going to go through that routine, and the style, the beauty, you know, she did maybe somewhat of a basic dismount for her that we're used to seeing her at the Olympic Games. I'm sure that's got something to do with her knee, but I'm very excited now for her to go straight onto the balance beam, so she's in that great position of being able to go from one apparatus straight to the other. There's no long wait, and I'm very excited to see her on the beam as well.
Yeah, for viewers that don't know the Olympic order, gymnasts that have just competed on bars will be moving straight to the beam. So like you said, that adrenaline is high, and we'll hopefully see another fantastic routine for her, because it's an exciting weekend to build up to this. She finished second on beam at the English Championships just a few weeks ago to qualify for this event. So I'm sure we have something very exciting in store. We also had Grace Davies up on the bars representing Robin Hood Gymnastics Club. She's currently sitting in third position with a 12.05. Sam, what do you make of this routine?
Well, from the start, we're seeing a great release and catch. So she does the pike Jaeger there. She catches it at a perfect length. So when you're watching these releases, you want the gymnast catching just in the right spot. They don't want to be too close. They obviously don't want to be too far away. And this is a very, very solid routine. She wants to be trying to hit the handstands in every single one of her turns. But a great routine so far from Grace. And we're just getting ready for the dismount. She's going to wind up, build that momentum, and a double straight. A really beautiful technique there on that double straight dismount, and a great routine. So, yeah, great start for Grace here.
She'll be absolutely thrilled with that, and hopefully we'll see plenty more of it in rotation 4, and we'll pass you back over to our commentary team.
Well, lots more gymnastics to see in this arena. The gymnasts, as you mentioned, have moved around, and Jess has got quite a quick competition today, actually starting on the bars, and then she's straight over to the beam, so her competition will be done in a flash. But the competition's starting to build nicely, and some successful routines in that first rotation for our top contenders in the women's competition. So I'm excited to see what's yet to come.
Well, we referenced finishing with Jonas Rushworth on floor. He did score 12.7 on the floor, which has put him in amongst it. Not quite in the medals at the minute. He's just sitting outside it in 4th position. Both are worth mentioning. Adam Tobin is quietly, confidently sitting there in 6th, sort of moving about his business and climbing through the ranks as well.
It's worth saying you do see quite a change in the standings when the men get to vaults, don't you? So typically quite a high score on that piece of apparatus, so until they've been there, they'll often sit a little bit lower in the rankings, then sneak their way up.
Definitely, we've always seen that, and I know in this code they have tried to adjust for that accordingly by lowering some of the vault tariffs, particularly now because the other apparatus, we've only got 8 skills, so therefore the scores will be lower, so vault also has to match and mirror that as well.
So here we are over on the beam. It's Emma Candelova from Tolworth Gymnastics Club, a gymnast who's dealt with quite a lot of injury in the last couple of years, but was a successful junior and represented Great Britain at the Junior European Championships. You can see she's just composing herself for her dismount. A tidy twist and just the pace forwards at the end. No doubt she'll be greeted on the floor by her coach Carla, who is always a massive character here at these British Championships. You can often see her dancing or cheering along with whatever's going on in the arena, but she's a bright light on the competition floor always, and Emma looks pretty chuffed with that routine too. Once you get to the Senior British Championships, you've been competing alongside lots of the same clubs and gymnasts for a number of years, and it really is nice to see the gymnast camaraderie on the competition floor.
We could also see there just the excitement of the coaches as well, which probably gives you a good idea of how happy coaches are when they see their gymnasts get through a beam routine.
For sure, don't get me wrong, it's the gymnasts doing the hard work, but the coaches are the ones that losing sleep at night thinking about how they can construct a routine correctly, and you know they're putting in an incredible amount of hard work too to get these athletes ready for competition.
Katie, as an experienced coach yourself, what's it like being out there as a coach rather than a competing gymnast?
I mean, when it goes to plan, it's lovely. When all of that kind of plan comes to fruition and you get a gymnast who does the business on the day, you just feel a great sense of pride and excitement for them that they've been able to deliver on what you had planned. Oh, and a big mount there, well saved. This is Tilly Wright, I believe, from Robin Hood Gymnastics Club. She is a member of the GB squad system and has been for the last few years. And typically this is a piece of apparatus where Tilly performs very well. But there's nothing quite like the pressure of being up there on the beam at a British Championships. She's got a beautiful leotard on here as well today, shining bright, and a stunning red Leo. And super work with her acrobatic series. So you'll often see the gymnasts trying to build their difficulty by connecting multiple skills together. You can get a triple series bonus, and she will certainly have earned that with that stunning acro series early in the routine. Struggling a little bit to connect some leaps though, and had to do some quick thinking to ensure she is still meeting the requirement of having a leap series. You'll see the gymnasts have to join 2 leaps together, at least one of which must show 180-degree splits. So Tilly battling a little bit here, but doing very well to stay composed. The judges will certainly be putting their pen to paper when they see these wobbles. They can choose whether to take a 0.1, 0.3 or 0.5 deductions for those breaks. And I think there's probably a couple of 0.3s in there, which will add up to her overall score. But she did manage to stay on the apparatus, and at the end of the day on beam, that is the name of the game. So whilst not her cleanest performance, hopefully she's satisfied that she stayed on the beam.
I think for me, just watching and appreciating how thin that beam is, I think you're right, just staying on the beam gives you that confidence, particularly going into the next apparatus.
Absolutely. Just wondering where we're going to be heading next. Of course, we've got to stay on the beam, haven't we? Because we have the one and only Jessica Gadarova coming up next. And I have to say, I do feel a bit for the guys that have to compete as Jess is going, because the noise and the volume that this audience is creating is really quite something. We mentioned it's a very busy arena. And there is a lot of gymnastics going on all over the competition floor. Now we saw Josh with Jess on the bars. We get to see Molly with her on the beam. As Sydney mentioned, a brother and sister coaching duo doing a fantastic job at Aylesbury Gymnastics Academy. They've enjoyed a tremendous amount of success over the last cycle. And of course, taking that historic team medal in Tokyo. Both Jess and Jen Gadarova were of course there. So Jess had a successful performance on beam at the English Championships a couple of weeks ago, but did take a penalty because of a British rule around needing to have a minimum of a B dismount from the beam. So I'm expecting that we might see an upgrade from Jess here today, just to protect her from receiving that same deduction here at the British Championships. Ooh, and had to take quite a big break there. Bending over and touching the beam was a significant deduction, but quite an ambitious leap series there, moving through the change leg and change half. Ooh, having to cheat the last little bit of that spin, just a tiny amount. So the squat turns are a very popular choice on the beam and have been in recent years. Going for an ambitious triple there, but I think the judges will probably cap it at 2.5. because the rotation slowed down quite significantly before she completed the 3rd rotation. Jess, obviously an exceptional gymnast when it comes to the acrobatics though. Oh, and trying to dance her way through her beam here. Gymnasts can be really smart and try and cover up some of those wobbles with a little bit of extra choreography. And the judges will have to decide just how much they want to deduct, whether it is truly a wobble. Oh, but unfortunately no hiding that one. Just comes away from the apparatus and it will be a full mark deduction. But as we mentioned earlier, there are a few competitions that do compare to the pressure and the experience of competing here at this British Championships in an arena for the first time in competition in quite some time, and securely through the dismount. I know she'll be disappointed there, but it really is all about building blocks and getting herself back into the competition mode here today.
I think let's not forget the significance of her injury. An ACL injury is, certainly one of the more significant, should we say. But it's great to see her back nonetheless.
Yep, and just popping that full twist into the dismount this time around, which does tick the box of being a B value skill. So, yeah, Jess has been working incredibly hard over the last 12 months, has done an extraordinary amount of rehab to ensure that that knee is going to be working for the long term, because heaven knows she wants to be in LA 2028. And Okay, so heading over to the bars, this is Shantae from Bristol Hawks, and she has got some really impressive moves here on the bars. She was a member of the Junior Europeans team last year and is a first-year senior competitor. Smoothly through the Shap half. And did you notice the little hop change there as she moves into her endo skill? Oh, that was such a shame. Just came out a little bit too early and unable to complete the move across the bar. You can see Coach Rory just having a chat with her there to decide what she needs to do. So her endo, she hopped her hands and moved into a different grip. And one of the things that the gymnasts have to show is a forward element on the bars. So I think you can see the judges there in the background deciding, did that endo skill go far enough around in order for it to count as that forward skill? Or does she have an alternative to put in its place? Beautifully through the two release and catch elements though. And safely navigates the straight front half dismount. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with her start value there. There are some really promising skills in that routine, and she's going to be an exciting gymnast to watch in the years to come as we proceed towards LA 2028.
We're going to switch over now to Adam Tobin on the rings. There, Josh Champion, coach at Nottingham Gymnastics Club, throwing him up onto the rings. Transitioned just over 12 months ago, 2 knots. Part of a larger training group now. And again, important that gymnasts train with all those other gymnasts to help improve them. That team environment can be so important. Rings probably not one of his strongest apparatus, but a good stock routine. Very clean in the swinging elements and into the handstand. There's the backward giant. Again, has to catch the handstand position. And now into the dismount. Full twisting double back in the tuck position. Solid landing.
A great routine there. As we get the opportunity to flash back over to beam, and it's going to be Grace Davies from Robin Hood Gymnastics Club. Grace has always been a confident beam worker, and she's got a broad repertoire of skills that she can perform on this apparatus. She's got a bit of a different acro series that I believe she will be competing here this afternoon. So she'll be locking in and concentrating hard to deliver a great performance. And quickly there through her leap series, linking directly out of her mount, the change leg leap onto the beam. Now all of the gymnasts have to show work low to the beam. So you'll see that they will get down low and show a bit of choreography or perhaps a skill. And readying herself here for this acrobatic series. Round off straight back and securely done. Now she will incur a slight deduction, I think. There was a bit of a concentration pause before that element, but you can see why she wanted to be clear on what she was doing. A very difficult skill indeed, and beautifully performed. And standing layout. Just a break in the trunk there as she landed. The beam, of course, is a very thin piece of apparatus. So the girls have to concentrate incredibly hard, and if they're even slightly out of line, then they have to work seriously hard to regain their balance, as demonstrated by Grace there. Much like her teammate we saw earlier, Tilly, though, she is fighting to stay on the beam, and just the dismount now to go. Round off, double pike, and an excellent landing there, actually. Chest was a little bit low, but barely any movement from the feet. And you can see from the look on her face, she's a little bit disappointed with all of those wobbles, but great fight from Grace there and a great show of character on the beam.
Well, we quickly move over to the rings now, where we have Hamish Carter, competes for Scotland and Nottingham Gymnastics Club. There's the kip to Maltese position. You could see ideally you want to hold that a little bit longer. And again, there's a swing into the top planche, another strength position, lowers into the cross. All these elements, ideally you want to make sure that you're as static as possible and holding for the full 2 seconds. Good swinging elements though. The double front somersault in the tuck and pike position. Jonas and Yamwaki having to fight there. You can see the arch in his back. He's having to fight really hard to make sure he stays the right side of the rings. And into the double twisting double back. Cleanly through from Hamish.
He's a very experienced performer, isn't he, Hamish? He went over to the USA to compete in college gymnastics there, but great to see him back here in the British Championships. And another Scot who'll be fighting for a place on that Commonwealth team next year. So right now on the bars, this is Georgia Stables from Horsham Gymnastics Club. She's got some great difficulty here. Beautiful toe catcher straight down into the pack somersault. Working well with the Shap half. You can see the coach just stood under the bars to give her a little bit of extra confidence and safety in that transition. Swiftly through the full turn and building up now for the dismount. A clean and tidy double back somersault. Georgia's got some great difficult skills across all the apparatus. And you can see the smile on her face. She is certainly happy to have gone from A to B with that bar routine. And a hug from the coach too. A really, really outstanding performance here. It truly takes a team to produce these gymnasts, and I know we've got two coaches there from Horsham supporting Georgia on her journey.
Also nice to see that camaraderie between the gymnasts as well. I think it's an appreciation of the work of the gymnastics, the hard work that goes on behind the scenes. So seeing your competitors also compete well, I think everybody just has that sense of appreciating all that, the work that goes into it.
For sure, nobody knows better how much hard work it is than another gymnast in the same shoes. As we head over to beam, this is Izzy Priestley from the MIPA Gymnastics Club. Izzy was a member of the Junior Europeans team once again and is a bit of a specialist on the vault, but also has some great work to show here on the beam. She has a big personality in her floor routine and will no doubt be looking to show similar artistry qualities here on the beam. Smoothly through the flick layout, ticking that box of an acrobatic series straight off the bat. Does well to move through the change leg into change half leap series. And a fantastic finish position there on the free cartwheel, chest upright. And the judges aren't going to have a lot to take away there. The gymnasts have to show movement forwards and sideways on the beam. Oh, and an unusual skill coming up here, the backward roll to handstand. That's certainly been popularised in the last code of points, as it was upgraded to having a C difficulty value. So you see quite a few of the girls using it either on its own or in combination to earn some bonus points. Just having a quick think before this dismount coming up. A tidy double twister finish, just the pace back, but a clean and successful routine there for Izzy. And there's a lot of happy coaches around this arena today, aren't there? Lots of great performances, and everyone's looking pretty happy to be here, I'd say.
I think domestically, the British Championships is certainly that calendar event that all the gymnasts, all the coaches want to be putting out their best performances, make sure that they're here, embracing the environment, making sure they get to experience what it is to compete in these arenas with the crowds, because it doesn't happen all too often.
No, I don't think you can understate how much of a special experience it is to participate in a British Championships. As someone that's been to lots of European and World Championships before, you can attest to the fact that British gymnastics really do put on a show, don't they, for these gymnasts?
Absolutely, and I think I might have referenced it earlier. What we see here in terms of the audience, in terms of showcasing and raising the profile of the sport, for me, it's certainly one of the best in the world at doing that. Almost feels like European Championships or even a World Championships at times as well. So it's a great experience for the gymnasts, irrelevant of the level that they're competing at.
It certainly is. And it looks like we're going to be staying with the beam. And our first opportunity this afternoon to see Ali Elite. She was recently crowned the English all-around champion and is certainly one of our top contenders for the title today. Alia is from Heathrow Gymnastics Club and has some really beautiful work here on the beam. Look out in particular for her leaps. And you get to see one straight off the bat there with her using the change leg mount. She is particularly skilled in ring positions, so we'll have to look out for those as well. When the gymnasts perform these leaps, the judges want to know that they've hit a 180-degree split, and Alia is one of those gymnasts where you're never in any doubt. She normally goes beyond that 180 degrees and has some very clean gymnastics indeed for these judges. Now, I love this angle because you can see the scale of the arena that we are performing in. And imagine what it's like to be that gymnast up there on the beam on your own, doing some incredibly difficult technical skills. As she walks confidently through the flick layout, her acrobatic series ticked off. And there, that ring position that I referenced earlier, just exceptional. The judges are looking that the gymnasts have released their head, that their foot is at the height of their head. And she does that beautifully. Once again there in the split ring jump. And that unusual, technically really quite challenging, a noddy skill in the middle of there as well. Alia is absolutely using her flexibility to the best of her advantage throughout this routine. Just the dismount to go, and she will be delighted to have contended with the balance beam. A beautiful double twist to cap off that routine, and you can see the relief there. It's such a difficult piece of apparatus to navigate, and it's a big piece of the puzzle if you want to put your all-around crown on at the end of this competition. So a fantastic performance for Alia.
What's really interesting to see is just the body reaction of the gymnasts once they've got through a routine. Even if I hadn't seen the routine, you can usually tell whether it was a good or a bad one.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt that she was delighted with that performance and equally relieved. Well, quick cuddle there from Danusha. Danusha Francis, of course, a well-known gymnast on the international stage in years gone by, and of course was also a gymnast at Heathrow Gymnastics Club. So obviously just popped down to support her teammate there, which is so nice to see. Heading over to floor now. We're joining Poppy Elwood from the city of the city of Lisbon. I was going to say Liverpool. I thought she was closer to home than she was. But some very engaging dance here on the floor. I mentioned earlier that the judges in this cycle are looking even more for the artistic performances of these gymnasts. They've got to show with every part of their body that they're engaged in the routine. So it's got to be a full body movement, and also their facial expressions selling the character of the routine too. She did well to stay on her feet there, the straight front somersaults. Just a little bit under-rotated, but smoothly through the change leg and change quarter leap series. And you can see she's doing a great job with those facial expressions, selling her enjoyment of the routine to the judges. Taking a breath in the corner as she builds up to her final tumble. Accelerating across the floor for a tidy full twist to finish. A great routine for Poppy Elwood. And it looks like she's really enjoyed the experience of that routine.
I think that may have been the final competitor of this fourth rotation. We're whizzing through the rotations here. Just 2 more rotations to go.
Yep, these routines are coming thick and fast, aren't they? Oh, and we're taking a look at the all-around standings, but I think this refers to the earlier round of competition as well. So we have 2 subdivisions of our senior women. So you can see there that Lottie Smith from Corby Gymnastics Academy was the top scorer in the first round of competition, closely followed by Christelle Lake. Both Christelle and Scotty are Scottish competitors, and we'll be hoping to make that Commonwealth Games team next year. And it was Mabel Dawson that finished in 3rd place. But don't be fooled by this. We've only had 2 rounds of competition in this particular category. So there will be some people chasing those top spots, no doubt, in the 2 rotations to come. So 2 rotations down for the women, 2 to go, 2 left for the men. This competition is tight at the top, so let's see what Sam and Sydney think back in the studio.
Another exciting rotation, Sydney, and I know that we've got gymnasts tying in top positions on some of the apparatus. What did you see in that rotation that excited you?
This competition is unbelievable. We have some crazy situations. Over on the women's vault, we currently have a tie in first place with 3 gymnasts. Now, normally, you would split their difficulty and their execution scores, but these gymnasts have the exact same on all 3 of them. So Lottie Smith and the Roper twins could be tying for top spot on the vault, but there's been incredible action on other pieces of apparatuses too. We'll be able to see Alia Leit's beam, and this really was something special. Alia is quite an incredible story because she's taken 2 years out of gymnastics. She made her return to competition at the English Championships, and you really wouldn't be able to tell. The confidence with which she mounted that beam with the split leap there is just gorgeous, and she just moves so smoothly. As Katie mentioned, she'll be gaining all of those connection bonuses that she can.
And the beam is one of those apparatus, Sydney, where the mindset is very, very important. It's very similar to the pommel horse for the men, and the gymnast stepping onto the beam, I imagine that they've got to be absolutely confident in the gymnastics they're about to perform.
Absolutely, and I know that Alia spoke to our Olympian Abby Martin at podium training yesterday, and she said that she was feeling nervous, but you really wouldn't be able to tell here. The beam is actually the width of an iPhone, which, if you think about it, is absolutely bonkers when you look at the skills they're doing on them. Katie praised her ring leaps, which we can see there, and she's just so confident in the movement, and she'll absolutely be climbing the ranks to get up in those beam rankings. Another confident leap series there from Alia. She's just moving so smoothly through her routine, and like I said, you'd never guess that she had 2 years out of the sport. She's definitely looking to build on her English all-around title and vie for that title here at the British. And a strong dismount now as we see that twisting right onto her feet. And yeah, shall we throw a sigh of relief? I think you can see there on her face.
Yeah, absolutely amazing performance. No sign of those nerves that she spoke about there with Abby Martin. I think we're going to have an opportunity, Sydney, to look at some parallel bars routines. Now, the men's competition, just to give you an idea of how close it is, the top 7 gymnasts in the all-around are only within 0.6 of each other, which is incredibly exciting. So yeah, we're going to have a look at parallel bars routine here. Parallel bars is one of the technical events in men's gymnastics. So you're looking for those skills above the bars, under the bars, in upper arms, and we're going to see Jamie's routine. Now, Jamie had to fight through this routine a little bit, but when you're doing an all-around competition, that's one of the most important things. If you get to an apparatus where it's a little bit of a struggle, can you get from start to finish?
And Jamie obviously had a really strong competition at the English Championships earlier, a few weeks ago, earlier this year, posting an absolutely huge score of 82. But you mentioned this 3-week gap would have been really nerve-wracking for him.
And I spoke to Jamie yesterday and I asked him about that expectation. You know, he scored that huge score and everybody was talking about him at podium training, but he seemed confident. And everybody that I spoke to felt he had a really good chance of winning this competition. So for Jamie, it's about getting through from start to finish. He had to fight a little bit there on the Makut skill, which is a very technical skill, but he did really, really well. Now, Jamie finishes with a double front dismount on the parallel bars. Again, he had to pull it through, but like I said, it's all about going from start to finish in these routines.
And our men's gymnasts will have 2 more rotations to get through. But what will they be thinking at this point in the competition, Sam? They'll be starting to tire. How do you get yourself in this right headset?
Well, they're going to be getting into the business end of the competition. And at this point, with the competition so close, this is where experience plays a part. Now, whether that's the experience of the gymnast or whether they're younger gymnasts, they're going to have to rely on the experience potentially of their coaches. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what they do. I spoke to Luke Whitehouse yesterday. Luke wasn't sure he was going to compete on 6 pieces. He said if he's having a great competition, he's going to give it a go. So we're going to hand over to the commentary team, Kristian and Katie, as we get into the business end of this competition.
It's really close at the top, isn't it? This is going to be a very exciting finale.
It is, and I was just having a quick look at the results there. Looks like we're going to start the competition. Our 5th rotation on the high bar with Jamie Lewis from Woking Gymnastics Club. Again, one of those apparatus. Such technical routine. particularly under that pressure, that spotlight. Very difficult to get right. Strong start. There's the squat half. Winds up for his first release. There's the Kovac cleanly through. Good rotation and height on that skill. There's the Coleman. So that's that Kovac skill, but with a full turn. And into his third release. That was a straddle Kachev. Certainly had to reach to catch the bar on that one. But this is a good routine by Jamie. You see they're showing the strength and flexibility of those shoulders. And here in the back end of this routine now, the all-important dismount winds up. Double twisting, double straight, the smallest of hops. Excellent routine by Jamie. And that's certainly going to keep in and amongst the medals for sure.
Getting through high bar is a big deal in this all-around competition, isn't it? It's a place where you can really build a good score, but also it's so easy to come to grief and miss one of those big releasing catches, but he did a fantastic job there.
Yeah, he really couldn't have done that routine much better, to be honest. And you can see here, just winding up. And that helps him to accelerate, to build the speed into the dismount, elevation into the air. That's 2 somersaults in the straight position and 2 twists.
You can really see in that slow-mo just how much the bar gets kind of pulled and bent, doesn't it, as they do those wind-up swings. Just so powerful. So we're going to turn our attention over to the women's bars, and it's Nina Deary. Saw her just a little bit earlier on the floor. Very nice line in her caster handstand there. Having to work a little bit hard out of the mo to keep that upstart moving. Does well in the full turn. A little bit late, and the judges can take a bit of a deduction there. But winds up neatly into the double tuck to complete a clean bar routine. And I think she's really enjoying the experience here in Liverpool, soaking up the experience. And once again, high fives all around from the Sheffield workshop coaches.
All important there, Chalk. We mentioned it earlier, each individual preference. Some like the block. You can also see there's tape as well. There's water sprays. There's all sorts going on around that chalk bowl.
For sure, although I would argue less than the boys have at the P-bars. Girls don't experiment quite so much with the syrups and the honeys, but there's certainly a lot of chalk and water. And all of the girls will have a very meticulous routine about how they put that chalk on. Sometimes you'll see them applying water, then sort of scraping it down. They might be using the block chalk or rubbing some powder in. But yeah, each to their own, and they'll all have a routine that they do day in, day out in their gyms back home. And they'll be looking to replicate exactly that again here in competition.
Am I right in thinking as well, the water spray, that all-important water spray as well is very particular, I've heard.
Oh yeah, and you know what, if you lose your water spray, or you break your water spray, sometimes it can be pretty tricky trying to find one that does, you know, spray the water in exactly the same way. Well, so I'm told anyway. That's what my girls will lead me to believe. So we're still waiting for the score to come in for Nina Deary. See that the judges are almost there with it though. It was a relatively short routine, so I'm sure our expert judges will make quick work of it.
Just that camera angle there, you can see just all the other apparatus, all the other gymnasts competing all at the same time. Really for the audience, it's fantastic, but it is also very difficult to spot and make sure that you're watching as much gymnastics as possible.
Yeah, it's a very difficult one if you're here in the arena. It's end up doing something a bit like a tennis match and looking from side to side. But the score in for Nina was 9.6. So now we are moving on to our next gymnast on the bars, opening up beautifully with a full turning toe on. Smoothly through the shap to pack combination. And using the shap skill once again, but with a half turn. Puts herself in a great direction for the final elements of this routine. Using the Jaeger somersault and a quick top turn as she readies herself for a dismount. Beautifully through the full twisting double back. Just the pace forward on the landing That's a fantastic routine for Emily Roper of Pipers Vale Gymnastics Club.
You can see there the coaches just reiterating a couple of the coaching points and some of the little jitters and not necessarily errors, but some of the things that the coaches certainly picked up throughout the routine. I'm going to switch over to the rings now. This is Jonas Rushworth. And again, being one of the younger gymnasts in this senior men's competition, you wouldn't expect him to necessarily have the same level of strength as some of the older gymnasts. That comes with that maturity, with that age and strength development. But you can see that certainly relies on the swinging elements, which he does very, very well, very cleanly. Got a good handstand line. And there again, into the handstand position. Nice dismount, the double twist and double back. Had to take a big step forward to make sure that he stayed balanced. So it won't be a massive score for Jonas. However, he will have known that as well going into that routine, that it won't be one of his highest scoring apparatus. But he's cleanly through, and that's what matters.
Certainly is, and especially when the men have 6 pieces of apparatus, it's very difficult to be a master of all. So you do often get these gymnasts who maybe specialise in one piece and aren't naturally so strong on another. And that's a lot defined by their physique as well, like you mentioned. You know, a more slight gymnast isn't necessarily built to be a superstar on the rings.
Absolutely, and I think we're going to stick with the rings. And again with Leeds Gymnastics Club, Olympian Luke Whitehouse. You can see there Tom Rawlinson, the coach, making sure that the gymnast gets the grip right at the start for skills such as that. There's the Azarian to cross. Came out in a good position, shoulders level with the rings, or his hands even. And there's the Honma to cross again. Really important that arrival into those strength positions is what the judges are looking for. There's the forward element skills. And also the backwards giant, well held. Here's the dismount, it should be a big one. Triple back, and you could see there, wasn't just able to hold that landing. So much height, so much rotation, it does become very difficult. And he has had a bruised heel that he's been trying to maintain for the last few weeks to try and get fit for this competition. So I should imagine that doing a triple back landing onto the rings mat isn't necessarily ideal for that bruise.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a significant impact when you're coming down from that high, never mind with a triple somersault rotating on the way to the floor. So we'll be heading back over to the bars. We saw Emily Roper just moments ago. This is twin sister Abby. So again, you'll see gymnasts have different preferences about how they set the bars, much like the boys on the P-bars, to get that grip just right. You often see the gymnasts spray a little bit of water on the bars to improve the grip immediately prior to their routine. Gymnasts also typically wear leather handguards or grips when they're working on this apparatus. You can see there Abby's got hers on, and they do have a little dowel in the top just near the fingers, which also enables the gymnast to secure their hands on the bar.
What is important when they have those new grips, it takes a little bit of a while to embed the leather in and stretch out the leather a little bit, so that therefore it suits the gymnast's hands. So it's very, very intricate work. It's not something that once they're fresh out the pack, they're able to use straight away.
Yeah, it certainly does, and we tend to keep an eye on handguards, and when we think a pair is reaching the end of its life, we'll get a new set and start to wear them in with some basic elements, so we're not having such a difficult transition. Lovely work here early on, using the shap to shoot, and then the Mo transition back to the high bar. So one requirement ticked off and a few still to go. The Jaeger somersault, an ever popular release. Ticks 2 boxes in one go, that one, because it's your release and catch as well as your forward element on the bars. There we go, final element ticked off is the full turn, and tidy with the dismount too. So an efficient routine that ticks all the boxes. and will no doubt earn a very good score there for Abby, who looks delighted to have got through that routine. Tegan Trafford, teammate on some GB squads, congratulating her for that performance. And you can see just how supportive all of the coaches in gymnasts are of each other. We've got the men's and women's coaches down there from Piper's Vale on the floor at the same time. Another club having a busy weekend with both men and women on the competition floor. As we get another look at that lovely shoot transition, directly linked back into her mow up to the high bar. And that lovely high Jaeger somersault I mentioned, such an important skill, ticking 2 of the big requirement boxes for these gymnasts. And tidily through the 1.5 twist dismount as well. Some unique and interesting work in that routine. So we're going to head across the floor just to catch the last moments of Izzy Priestley's routine. Well done on that 2.5 somersault, and the immediate smile on her face lets you know that she's very pleased to have got that one to its feet. A very fitting leotard, I'd say, for these British Championships, going for, well, actually maybe it's pink and blue. Thought it was red and blue for a second there, but it's looking good out on the competition floor, very fitting for a British Championship competition.
There's a significant amount of sparkles going on.
Oh, there absolutely are. The more sparkles, the better. You've got to dazzle the judges. That's the bit the boys are missing out on. Blind the judges with the bling, and you never know, they might not notice that extra step.
Looks like we're going to be sticking with the floor. Our next gymnast, Danny Crouch, represents South Essex Gymnastics Club. Some of you that might recognise the club name. Home to Max Whitlock, multiple Olympic champion. There's the full twist in double straight. Just has to take a hop forward. Into second tumbling pass. And there's the running double pike somersault. Very difficult to get the height and the rotation from that running position. That's nice though, the double twist down the side. You can see there, takes a big breath. That's good work as well, the 2.5 twist backwards into the straight front 1.5 turn forwards. And then into the 2.5 twist forwards, also opting to do it from the running position as opposed to from a handspring. And there's the triple Russian skill, the non-acrobatic element. Into that balance position, the arabesque. See there, big shrug of the shoulders, ready for the final tumble. Double pike somersault. You could see they had plenty of height, but just opened out a little bit too early, which therefore meant he had to lean forward and unfortunately put his hands down, incurring a big deduction for it. It was clean up to that point.
And you mentioned the arabesque skill there just before the end. That scale element's a new requirement for the code of points this year, isn't it, for the men? And it's sort of been received with mixed opinions, I think is fair to say.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think it's something we haven't had to see because gymnasts haven't been required to do it in previous Olympic cycles. That's different this time, so like anything, athletes don't like change. Gymnasts are part of that family, and therefore adding an element or adding a skill in that perhaps doesn't feel quite as substantial as some of the other tumbling passes. I can see why they struggle to adapt to it.
Yeah, for sure. So we're sticking on the floor with Ali Elite from Heathrow, and she is certainly putting herself in contention for the top spot here today. Starting off with a nice double wolf turn on the floor. That D-valued element is a nice one to get in the bag, and certainly this first tumble, if she puts it to her feet, is a great addition to this routine. Now, a fantastic double straight, but I did see that the flag went up from the line judge, so that could be a 0.1 or 0.3 deduction, depending on whether one or both feet travelled out of the floor. But again, showing off that exceptional flexibility in her leap series. And and tuck front somersault through to double twist. We mentioned earlier the gymnasts have to show salto elements in different directions. So she has ticked that box nicely. Alia, a gymnast who really likes to build her difficulty value using dance elements, given her fantastic flexibility and control. Working well with the music as well. Has to show an expressive performance and engage the judges in her routine. A big puff of the cheeks though as she readies herself for this next tumble. And an exceptional landing on that double pike. Oh, it's going to be very close as we head into this final rotation. Alia certainly making her bid for the top spot. And of course, going to finish on vault, so she's got quite a nice finish to her competition coming up. Whereas there's also Frank Stone, who's right up there. We haven't seen anything of her yet today, but she will have to contend with bars in the last rotation. So it really is all to play for in this women's all-around competition.
You mentioned there the line deduction for stepping out the floor. From my angle, I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. It looked like she just about stayed in from where I'm sitting. However, I'm not the line judge, though.
The judge put that. Do you know what? It's such a tricky thing. I was a line judge at the English Championships a few weeks ago, and much like that call, you can see we've got two line judges who are sat in opposite corners of the floor, and she went out of bounds on the corner that's the furthest away from both of them. So you really have to use your best judgment, and the rule is always, as a judge, is to give the benefit of the doubt to the gymnast. So it might be a 1, it might be a 3. We'll have to wait and see what penalty comes up on her score.
Well, one thing for certain, Oakley Banks certainly stayed in the floor on that tumble. 3.5 twists, quite an unusual start to routine, but excellent tumbles. However, on his second tumble, Pash could see that step forward and also over onto the red part of the floor, which is where you get the deduction. And again, same again there. Very difficult work though, the 3.5 twist down the side. So you get less run up when it's a side tumble, which makes it extremely difficult to fit in the tumble and also the landing without taking a step. Oakley now just settling into the routine, giving them a chance, have a bit of a breather. Very good handstand. No wobbling, no stuttering. Powers through to the back end of his routine. There's the double Arabian with the half turn. You could see his reaction on his face, although it's a clean tumble. Again, just another line deduction where his left foot stepped outside of the floor. And he did that on a couple of tumbles, and they do add up eventually.
They certainly do. Confirmation of Alia's score on the floor is a 13.05, so an exceptional score there. And that does include a 0.3 penalty for going out of bounds. The line judge obviously tried to use her best judgment there and decided that both feet had travelled onto the red carpet. As we move now on to our next competitor, Emma Candelova from Tolworth. Emma's been dealing with injuries for the last couple of years, but has had a strong comeback here at these British Championships. And the Tolworth girls really are a big team of gymnasts working together. And I can see a couple of them around the arena cheering for Emma as she works her way through this routine. Smoothly through the double spin. Seen a lot of these wolf turns on both floor and beam in the last couple of codes. I do have to say, I think they're trickier to do on the floor than they are on the beam. Spinning on that soft surface certainly makes it a more difficult challenge. Nicely done in the 1.5, directly linked to the half twisting straight front. And really working hard now to sell this dance to the judges. You'll see quite a few of the gymnasts choose to have a section of their routine that is performed directly to the judging panel to make sure they are engaging them in the routine. You can see making that eye contact with the judging panel, drawing them into the routine as it comes to its conclusion. And a quiet moment in the corner as she composes herself, ready for her dismount. Round off, flick. 2.5 twists safely to her feet. A fantastic finish to that floor. And look at the smile on her face. Emma is certainly delighted to have cleanly performed that routine. Once again, welcomed back off the floor by Carla, who looks equally happy with that performance.
Well, the wave suggests that she was happy. The smiles certainly solidify that.
Certainly is. It looks like we're going to be staying with the floor again. There must be more women in this particular rotation than men on the floor, because normally they've been alternating between men's and women's floor performances. Looks like we'll have a momentary pause while the judges calculate that score for Emma. And then it's going to be Tilly Wright. We saw her earlier on the beam, and now we get a chance to see her on the floor.
Always quite interesting seeing a sort of pre-match or sort of routine habits almost that the gymnasts go through just to prepare themselves mentally. What is it they need to feel before starting the routine? There's nothing that they can do necessarily from physically wise now. They're ready to compete, but it's actually about just getting your mind in that correct position.
Yeah, lots of the gymnasts have got little mental rehearsals they do, haven't they, or superstitions. You can see just that little raise of the leg there. I'm imagining she's going to start with a double pike. But yeah, there'll be little habits and tricks and routines they've picked up in their training sessions or in previous competitions that just are little reminders to themselves, and it keeps the brain busy. It can be very easy when you're waiting on the podium for the judges to raise their hand to let your mind run away with itself. But if you've got some little reminders and some technical cues, that's going to keep your brain busy with positive and useful thoughts rather than letting the nerves get to you.
Absolutely, and that's certainly a skill set that takes a few years to learn and to master and to know what exactly works best for you.
For sure.
Due to a technical issue with her music, our next gymnast is able to...
Ah, here we go. So, yes, do you know what? I did think it was funny. We were obviously looking somewhere else, but Tilly did compete on floor earlier. However, there was a problem with her floor music. So it sounds to me like the competition organisers have given her the option to compete again, which is what is offered to you if your music fails mid-routine. And it sounds like she's taken that opportunity, which is not something to be taken lightly. There we go, that big double pike, cleanly performed. And I think perhaps that was where the issue arose last time. So we've got a smile on her face now. It's a very difficult decision to make. So a floor routine is a pretty exhausting bit of work to do. So being given the opportunity to do another full routine just a few minutes later is a brave decision, but clearly one that Tilly is up for the challenge with. So unfortunately, having a mistake on that second tumbling pass. But working well through the leaps here. Had to work a little bit hard in that last tumble as well. Pulled hard though and found her way to get her feet to the floor. Well done, Tilly. A significant challenge, like I mentioned. I don't know, would you fancy the option of doing a second floor routine again, Chris?
There's certain apparatus I perhaps would opt for, floor not being one of them, purely because of those physical demands that you mentioned. It is probably, out of all the apparatus, one of the most physically demanding, and certainly takes a long time to rest and recover. And then to try and sort of remotivate yourself almost as well to do it again is, I should imagine, very, very difficult.
Yeah, pretty tricky. I've known gymnasts in the past who have been given that option, but even if the music had stopped, they've safely stayed on their feet the first time. We politely declined the opportunity to repeat the routine.
Exactly. Why take that risk?
For sure. So, goodness me, rotation 5 is complete. I cannot believe how quickly this competition is moving. And in a blink of an eye, we're moving around to our final piece of apparatus. Hopefully we'll get a chance to show you the standings so far, but I can tell you it's looking tight at the top. So as we move into rotation, number 6, currently with his hands reaching for the bronze medal, we've got Jonas Rushworth of Leeds Gymnastics Club. Silver medal position currently is looking like Cameron Lynn from West Lothian, and in first place at the moment, with actually a marked lead, it's Jamie Lewis from Woking. So one more clean routine and the title could well be his. So one rotation to go. It's getting exciting. Let's go and see what they've made of that rotation in the studio.
Katie's right, those standings at the top are tight, but Jamie Lewis has had a super strong competition so far. Sam, I think we're going to get a chance to look at his routine, but you must have been impressed at this point.
That was a beautiful routine, Sydney, and for me that was a champion's routine on the high bar from Jamie. He was the first up in that rotation. That means that he didn't have a lot of time to go from parallel bars to the high bar, but what a routine this was. He looked incredibly confident. He starts his routine with one of the in-bar skills, so he does the squat half, does it very well. His first release and catch is the Kovac, so a double somersault over the bar, very smooth. And the next skill he's going to do a full twisting Kovac, so a little bit more difficult than the first one. And again, catches it at a great length, swinging around the bar. I think he does another release. So the gymnasts on high bar are able to do about 5 release and catches, which is incredible. And Jamie is doing a great routine here. He's swinging really well. The high bar is all about feeling, the timing, the rhythm of the swing. And he's probably starting to think about his dismount at this point, Sydney. So he knows he's going to have to try and put it on his feet to try and get a good score. We also have that stick bonus available now. He does a double twist and double straight, small little hop, but an amazing routine, and really puts the pressure on the other gymnasts that were very closely following Jamie as we went into that rotation. So the scores are very tight in the men's competition.
Yeah, it's really been bringing the entertainment value, and the women's competition has been no different. It's been really exciting over on the floor. Our leader after the 3rd rotation is actually Frankie Stone from Amber Valley Gymnastics, who's actually one of our youngest competitors in this competition. She's actually only 15 years old, and because her birthday's on the 21st of December, it's still a while before she turns 16, so this is her first year as a senior, and she's absolutely smashing it. But Ali Elite just pipped her to first place on floor there. We saw an absolutely beautiful floor routine from her. She's representing Heathrow Gymnastics Club, who've had a fantastic championship so far. They took the Aspire all-around title with Elisabetta Cardelli, and you can see really the artistry that they're able to demonstrate in their routines here. Katie mentioned earlier the bonus marks that women's gymnasts can get on floor for their artistry, really matching their routine to the music, and Alia definitely does that. She starts her routine with a huge double straight. As Katie mentioned, a bit of controversy about how many of her feet went off the floor. Gymnasts must maintain their floor routine within that white floor spare that you can see on the screen, and so she did take a 0.3 penalty there. But it definitely hasn't impacted her, because she is sat in first with a huge score of 13.05.
And Sydney, it looks like she's taken that confidence of that beam routine that she did in the previous rotation straight onto the floor, and again, just looks full of confidence at this competition.
Yep, and she'll be getting to finish on vault, which is a bit of a blessing for any gymnast. As Katie mentioned, it is pretty exhausting doing a floor routine after you've already competed 2 pieces of apparatus. So I think she'll be looking forward to 2 short vaults and a bit of a breather, but she certainly has to be proud of herself, and we'll have to wait and see and how she vies for that top spot. It'll be tight between her and Frankie Stone, definitely.
Yeah, and these gymnasts, she will know that the other gymnast knows she's finishing on that vault, and that vault is going to be more of a solid apparatus than finishing maybe on the A-bars or the beam, where there's that risk of taking a fall. So for her, a strong finish on the vault, it's going to be very, very exciting to see how this competition finishes up. With the women and the men, we're seeing Cami Lynn, who's come out of nowhere into 2nd position, still very tight from 2nd place all the way down to the top 6 or 7 gymnasts. I've been keeping my eye on Adam Tobin, Alex Nishkavanu. Lots of those gymnasts are slowly climbing their way up and have had great competitions, but I think it really comes down to who's going to hold their nerve, whether Jamie can go through that floor routine, and how close the other gymnasts can get to him.
Well, I know that we and the entire crowd in here can't wait to see how this final rotation is going. I imagine it's the same over in your commentary booth, Katie and Chris.
Yes, it's going to be a very exciting conclusion to these championships. Like I say, on the women's side, it could go either way. Ali is going to vault, and the very best. I think she does a full twisting Yushchenko. We've seen those scoring around 13 today if they've got a clean landing. So Frank has currently got about 1.25 up on her, but equally achieving a 13 on the bars is a tall order. So it really is going to come down to the final routine for the girls. And the men, it's just looking equally exciting, isn't it, Chris?
It is indeed. I mean, if I was competing on a final apparatus floor, certainly would be one of my preferred choices. So I'd say it's advantage Jamie.
And first up, we get to see a wonderful floor worker in Jake Jarman.
Indeed, Olympic medalist on this apparatus. Triple twisting, double straight, so much height. And then the same in the tuck position, spots that landing, tiny hop forward. Almost gymnasts are trying on those first two tumbles to do 2 twists. Jake's that good, he's able to put an extra one in there for triple. Oh, you could see there though, they didn't quite get the landing right on that 2.5 twist, which therefore meant the double front after was always going to be a challenge. And also then on the balance then, I'm not quite too sure that was the balance he was hoping for. The turn balance obviously gives it away, therefore suggests that it should be steady, it should be safe. But there was certainly some wobbling on that one. That's better though. Triple twist down the side. There's the big breath. There we go. Excellent dismount there by Jake. Unfortunate on that combination, tumbling past. It looked like his legs just sort of buckled after that 2.5 twist. Therefore, unable to execute the double front after it the way that he wanted to, and perhaps unsettled him then also on the balance. But he seems happy enough.
And it will be interesting to see where that floor score puts him in the apparatus standings as well, because we know we had Harry Hepworth, who we didn't see earlier, but he was still right up there, even with a fall, wasn't he?
He was. He had a fall on one of his tumbles, but scored, I think, 13.7 off the top of my head, which put him in amongst the top 3 on qualification.
Yeah, so you never know. We might still get to see Jake again in the apparatus finals tomorrow. But right now we're headed over to the beam to see Emily Roper. Another gymnast who is right up there in the standings, and with a clean beam routine will be putting herself in contention for a podium finish. Emily is a very experienced competitor. You can see she covered up that slight balance check at the end of her flick layout very neatly. And again, it does well to stay composed. You'll see a lot of our female athletes completing jumps on the side of the beam. Any jump that you perform facing sideways does get a 0.1 increase in its normal difficulty value. Of course, it is pretty tricky to land back on the beam when you can't see it underneath you. Emily's looking very calm and composed here, making her connections, making sure of all of these landings. Just little balance checks on most of these skills, though. Could be interesting to see how those 0.1s add up as we get to the end of the routine. And just a full twist to finish with a pace backwards. So ensure she doesn't incur that GB deduction for having less than a B for her dismount. Steadily through, and I'm sure she will be pleased to have completed her British Championships all-around competition. And delight from the coaches of Piper's Vale as well.
It looks like the judges are still deliberating Jake's score.
I mean, I wouldn't fancy judging that routine. Just counting the number of twists is needs a maths degree in itself, I think. It's a complicated job, isn't it? Especially when they're doing lots of combination work and there's different bonuses that are applied. It's a difficult job, but the judges have got to take their time and make sure they get it right.
Certainly, and it does give Joshua Nathan, our next gymnast up on floor, just a bit more time to compose himself. team there, taking a couple of jumps on the floor. Again, just to get a feel for it, get rid of those last bit of nerves.
I always think the gymnasts just look like they're waking up their legs a little bit when they do that. You might have had a little bit of a wait since the warm-up, or you've been sat down maybe waiting for your turn. So let's hope his legs are awake and ready to go now.
Well, I can tell you Jake John scored 12.65 on the floor. So not the sort of score he would have wanted. But Joshua Nathan next up, handspring double front to start. And again, opting for the forward tumbles, the handspring double twist forwards. Cleanly through that side pass there, sticks the landing. There's the 2.5 twist. And you can see here now on this 6 apparatus, the gymnasts are starting to get tired, and perhaps a few uncharacteristic mistakes there, particularly on those combination tumbles that require your legs to be strong and also have plenty of energy in them. That's nice though, that's the manner. Shows the strength and flexibility. See there, his eyes fixed on the corner of the floor. Make sure when you're doing that balance, spot where you want to look and stay fixed there. Double tuck to finish. Joshua Nathan cleanly through his routine. So again, didn't quite have the same level of difficulty as some of his apparatus, and not quite the D-value dismount at the end as well. That's some of the other gymnasts competing.
I can tell you that Emily Roper's beam score has popped her up into the top spot, 49.6, now the target that our gymnasts are chasing. It's kind of the magic 50 that the girls are after, and we thought it would be a score of around 50-51 that could take the title here today. So Emily finishing on 49.6, just shy of that 50 mark, but I'm sure that will keep her up high in the rankings.
Get another look here at Joshua Nathan's floor. That was a handspring double front, cleanly through. And then again was his second floor tumble, handspring double twist. Here's a side pass, clean landing, joins those heels together. This was the tumble here where you could see his legs just start to buckle. Certainly the tiredness. Apologies, actually, this was the dismount. Small hop on landing from the double back. You can see there the gymnasts deep in conversation.
I always love the competition debrief. Straight after they've come off the routine, they've immediately got to get into it, haven't they?
Absolutely, that's the hot debrief, where the emotions all come out at the same time.
For sure. And it looks like we're going to be heading back over to the beam now. This is Abby Roper. Mounting with a tuck front somersault. That's a D-rated skill. And a risky start to the routine, but it looks like it's paid off. Abby clearly a fan of these forward somersaulting skills, as she uses the front somersault on the beam as well. And another gymnast favouring the wolf-style spin. Oh, and unfortunately just not able to get that foot back on top of the beam at the end. So it's that risk versus reward again. Obviously, as you add more rotations to these spins, they do get a little bit trickier. But so too does the value increase. Oh, and off the beam once again on her flick layout. Abby needs to take a moment now, compose herself, and you can see her just taking a deep breath before she remounts the beam. Such a difficult thing to pick yourself back up after you've made a mistake. And having to think carefully now to ensure she connects a couple of leaps. No doubt we'll have a backup plan for that dance series. Smoothly through the free walkover. And here we go, backup plan in motion, using a split jump to W jump. Just the dismount now to go. And I can tell you, for those wondering, that Alia has just landed her vault as Abby securely puts that 1.5 twist to her feet. Hopefully we're going to be able to see a replay of Alia's full twisting Yurchenko that she's just so confidently performed in her bid to take this title here this afternoon. And here we go, expertly done by the production team. Must have known that I'd like to see this one. So there you go, Yurchenko entry, a sky-high full twisting, straight somersault. Just a tiny hop back on the landing, and she's got to think that she's got half a hand on the trophy at this moment in time. A fantastic all-around performance, beautiful, clean gymnastics. And it is a 52.2 all-around score for Alia Elite, 13.25 earned for that vault. An incredible performance, and it looks like that trophy could be headed back to Heathrow after this weekend, but there is still one gymnast who might have something to say about that.
That was a quick look back there from Jonas on his vault. The double twist, he was cleanly through, so that certainly kept him competitive, trying to attain a top spot, or certainly in amongst the medals, which would be brilliant for him, his first time competing as a senior. And then his teammate, Luke Whitehouse. And you can see the 2.5 twist opens out well, and just a small hop forward, so a good vault there by Luke Whitehouse, also to complete his all-around. You can see there's some heavy strapping on the ankles and the feet, quite common for the gymnasts.
Quite often that's a preventative measure, isn't it, rather than specifically being for an injury, but the impacts that they're taking, whether it's the tumbles, the vaults, or indeed the dismounts of apparatus, it's just a lot of force going through the body.
Absolutely, and that's something that the body has to handle over a number of years and make sure that the training volumes over that period of time gradually prepare the body for some of these high impact skills that we see now, particularly as you turn into a senior as well. All that work and training and preparation, physical preparation in the gym as a junior, this is where it starts to pay dividends, and hopefully in turn then your body's that little bit more resilient for the all-around competition.
For sure, managing workload is a challenge for coaches and gymnasts alike.
Well, our next gymnast up on the vault, representing Leeds, Michael Goddard. Here's the double twist. Good landing by Michael, just a small step to the side. He's had an excellent competition today as well. You can see there's that hot debrief we mentioned earlier. Smiles, hugs, that's what we like to see. Suggests that the competition's gone well.
I tell you what, that looks like a proud coach to me. Tom Rawlinson's looking really, really chuffed from there, isn't he? And it's nice to see when all that hard work comes together and you deliver the performance you planned for. Aha, and we finally get to see the wonderful Frank Stone over on the bars. Now, for me, Frank's got such a fantastic story. She had her first British Championships in the post-COVID moment, so we had that kind of weird one that wasn't in the arena. And then the first time she did get a chance to come to Liverpool and compete, she had a mistake on her first piece of apparatus, which was the bars, and unfortunately, after that, was signed out of the competition. So from that first performance in Liverpool, she's had an absolutely outstanding couple of years and has really, really risen in her class and performance level. And I'm incredibly excited to see her put this routine together here today. I'm really hoping, crossing my fingers, toes and everything, that she can do the business here, because it would be really quite a story for her to have come from that point to putting out a fantastic routine at her first senior British Championships. She is a super close bar worker, and beautifully through the Stolder and Endo section of her routine. Secure on the Jaeger somersault. A little bit shy of handstand on that shoot down, but works through it well. You can see she's just got such beautiful lines, stunning toe point. Super full turn. Just the dismount now to go. Half turn. New dismount for her this year. Kicks up high into the double front. Oh, does well to keep that on her feet. And you can see coach there, Jenny Clay. A warm embrace and a fantastic routine for Frank. What a story, and what a rise she's had over the last few years in these British Championships. I'm sure all of the team at Amber Valley will be so proud and delighted for her to have put this competition routine together today.
Some of those in-bar elements, the endos and the stalders, are certainly some of the best I've seen, not just in the women's, but also the men's as well. They were excellently executed.
Yeah, she's always been quite a clever gymnast with those skills. Coming up through the age group competition, she's always been very good at building her difficulty using those. The endo, a particularly good one because it's risen in difficulty in this new code of points. As I mentioned, that shoot down to the low bar, just a little bit shy of handstands. There'll be a 10th off a difficulty there. But this new double front dismount, a fraction under rotated, but oh my goodness, she looks delighted to have put that to her feet. And a hug there as well from Welsh coach Liv Brill. Frank's nominated to represent Wales. And like we said, it's going to be a really tricky Commonwealth Games team to make next year for this Welsh squad. I've got a sneaking suspicion she's going to pop up into the silver spot. But while we're waiting for that score to come through, we're going to hop over to floor and check out Corinna. She represents Abingdon Gymnastics Club and is a fantastic floor and vault worker in particular. Always has a floor routine with fantastic dance and expression. She's a really powerful gymnast who always shows great height on her tumbles and her leaps. Performing here to a Mission Impossible style floor routine and performing some impressive feats while she's at it. Creative choreography. If you can engage the judges and make them smile, it always helps in these floor routines. And finishing off with a 1.5 twist, a C value difficulty skill for her final tumble. Big well done to Corinna on her final piece of apparatus. I can tell you that Frank's score on the bars was 12.45, which gives her an all-around total of 51.35, putting her into silver medal position. A really, really outstanding performance for her there. I think she was 5th place at the Junior British last year. To step up to the senior ranks and to be slotting herself into the silver medal position on her first try, that's a really outstanding performance.
Certainly great job indeed. We move back to the men's competition now on the floor. Representing the city of Birmingham, Zion Azir. Came and stuck a little bit right at the start of his competition on the pommel horse, but since then he's been able to recalibrate and get himself going again. Lots of height there, excellent tumbling there as he combines the full twist forward into the double front. There's a double pike again, excellent work, very clean. And then the double twist down the side. Been quite a popular side pass today, I would say. Here's that non-acrobatic element. Requires such strength to hold that top planche position. Right in front of the judges as well. So they will be eagle-eyed on that. Continues to perform well in his routine. And then the double back dismount to finish cleanly through by Zion. A good, solid routine from him, and also to finish off his competition.
Yep, some great tumbles in there. You can hear, I don't know if you can hear as clearly as we can. Some of his teammates are sat just behind us and they were talking through that whole thing, I think.
Always good to have the support of your teammates. You can see him there just cheering to his teammates who are sat just behind us.
Yeah, there's so many gymnasts representing here from the city of Birmingham. I'm sure there is lots of support in both the crowd and on the competition floor. As we get a chance to see Soraya Pearce from Uttoxeter. Soraya is a beautiful performer on this piece of apparatus, and qualified to this event at the English Championships just a few weeks ago. Opening with the split jump full turn. All of our gymnasts are required to show a double back somersault, and Soraya does so with a double pike as her opening tumble. Then taking off that forward somersault requirement through to a double twist as her second pass. I mentioned earlier that the musicality element of the artistic score is now really quite an important one. And I think perhaps we could have a little bit more expression here. The judges were putting a lot of emphasis on that at this year's championships, and the gymnasts really can be quite heavily deducted to, in fact, just above a mark of deductions for their artistry if they really don't feel like they're showing off the routine. So it is important that the girls put a big emphasis on the performance quality. Cleanly finishing the routine and her competition here this afternoon. And I hope we're going to be sticking with the floor because we've got an important routine coming up next. We've been talking about him all afternoon, and now is his time to try and take the crown.
It is indeed. I've just been trying to quickly scroll down and work out the maths of what he needs. I think it's around a 12.5, which is certainly doable for a gymnast of his ability and level of difficulty of his routine. Currently, Jonas Rushworth is sitting in top spot with a score of 78.85. All eyes on Jamie Lewis. That's a good, solid start there. Combining, he's had to wait a while, his last gymnast up on this apparatus. Double pike somersault, very clean, lots of height. Spotted the landing and the floor well. And there's the double twist. And into some of his flare work. He started his competition on the pommel horse, where certainly one of his better apparatus. You can see there he excels as he transfers it over to the floor. See there the big breathe. Very nicely, the 2.5 twist backwards immediately into the straight front forwards. That's the combination tumble. A couple of gymnasts before him came a little bit unstuck on, possibly due to some tired legs and tired bodies out there. You can see now, prepares himself for the final tumble. There you have it, 2 somersaults with the full twist. I'm pretty sure that's enough there, and a new British champion.
Gives himself a round of applause, and rightly so. What a fantastic performance. The pressure was really on then to deliver with that routine. He's had a bit of time out over the last couple of years, but crikey, you wouldn't think it watching that routine, would you?
Indeed, and also, I guess it's been referenced a few times, winning the English Championships a few months ago. That can certainly put you on a good path to building on that momentum, but equally, at the same time, it probably adds that little bit more pressure as well. But he's handled himself extremely well so far today. I'm excited to see him again and hopefully continue that momentum and progression over the next few months.
Certainly showing lots of maturity and composure. And you can see our gymnasts are starting to react as the final scores are coming in. So Ali Elite is confirmed as the senior British champion for the women for 2025. And we're waiting for that final score to come in for Jamie Lewis, but we fully anticipate that he's going to be taking the gold in the men's competition. You can see Vince Walduck there, obviously a very well-known coach from Heathrow. He's been there for a long time and has had a lot of success over the years. And his daughter Liliana is kind of taking the reins now. So really fantastic to see a father-daughter coaching team. And some incredible success here for Heathrow. They took the Aspire title with Ellie Cardelli just a couple of days ago. And now it looks like they've taken the senior title as well. So a really, really tremendous championship so far for Team Heathrow.
And I think we referenced right at the start, Katie, that we presumed around 51, 51.5 probably would seal certainly a medal, perhaps even the top spot, and Alia coming out there with a 52.2, so exceeded perhaps expectations as well.
Yeah, no, she's had a fantastic performance here today, really faultless, to be honest. She's done some great work. And lo and behold, that score is in for Jamie Lewis. It's a 13.95, so assuming your maths was right, Chris, he's done the business.
He has indeed. That takes him into the top spot with a score of 80.2. So a very credible score, not just domestically but internationally as well. Silver medal position will go to Jonas Rushworth. And then the bronze being picked up by Olympian Luke Whitehouse. And you can see there all smiles on the TV screen, being congratulated by his teammates. I think for some, perhaps even for himself, this probably feels like it's been a long time coming. That talent has certainly been there for a number of years. And that transition perhaps from junior into senior has been a little bit slower than others, but he's got there in the end. I'm excited to see now how he can build on that, particularly only 3.5 years away from the LA 2028 Olympics.
For sure, what a great time to step up into the senior ranks and make your mark with LA, as you mentioned. A few years away, he's still got time to build on those routines, add some more difficulty. And you've got to think, after the comeback he's had here today, he's got to be a great contender for that Olympic team.
Absolutely. Gymnastics, it's a tough sport. We never quite know what can happen around the corner, but for sure, he certainly set himself up well and on that trajectory. I think we've also referenced a few times the Commonwealth Games today as well, which only in Glasgow next summer, and seeing a strong competition from the home nations has been really important for me. I know you've mentioned and referenced a lot, Katie, of some of the Welsh gymnasts today, but I also just want to give a good shout out to Cameron Lynn from West Lothian representing Scotland, who just got picked to a medal, but he's had a brilliant competition. So again, build on that success for a home Commonwealth for him next year will be very exciting.
Yeah, that Commonwealth Games is going to be really exciting, and half the challenge is just going to be making those teams. You mentioned a Scot there on the men's side. We've actually got Scottish girls finishing in 4th and 6th place here as well. So Lottie Smith, who was our leader after the first round of competition, has finished off in 4th place all around, which I know is the highest score ever for her. And Christelle Lake, who was the Scottish champion just a few weeks ago, hanging on to that 6th position. So I tell you what, we're going to see some great Commonwealth teams in 2026. And our gymnasts, I think, very privileged to have the opportunity to compete there. It's unfortunately a reduced size of Commonwealth Games this time. They struggled to find a host city that was kind of happy to do a full-scale event. So Glasgow, thankfully, have taken on the task. So there's not quite as many sports participating as you'd normally see in a big Commonwealth Games competition. But, of course, gymnastics is such a popular spectator sport, both in arenas being filled like this one here in Liverpool, but also in terms of a TV audience. When you get to an Olympic Games, it's one of the most watched sports, isn't it?
I think we've always done very well internationally in terms of fans and audience, in terms of wanting to tune in and watch gymnastics. We know it's an exciting sport. We know that it's a sport that people want to tune in and watch and encourage. And so to have it still in the Commonwealth next year is really important. And particularly for some of these gymnasts as well. I know you mentioned that it's not as many sports as previous Commonwealth Games, but actually it's probably a good opportunity to reset, rejuvenate the Commonwealth a little bit as well. And so I'm certainly excited for it. And for these younger gymnasts as well, it's a great opportunity to compete on an international stage in front of the big arena, on the podium, which is a rarity, I have to say. We're very fortunate here at the British Gymnastics that they compete domestically on a podium, because that's not common.
No, certainly not. And I think the other thing that stands out about the Commonwealth Games and that sets it apart from even like a World or Olympics, sorry, not an Olympics, Worlds or Europeans, is that it is a multi-sport event, and you get that whole experience of being in the village, and that's got to put a different twist on it too.
Absolutely, it is. It's completely different to going to a World Championships and then a multi-sport event where you're mixed, you're engaging with all the different sports in usually a village environment as opposed to a hotel as well. So it lends itself very well, particularly as that sort of progression and that stepping stone onto an Olympics, which ultimately is where all the gymnasts want to be competing for. Having said that, Commonwealth isn't a bad level either, I have to admit.
Yeah, not at all. It's always been a very successful event for our home nations, and we're lucky that we have such strength and depth across all of the home nations who do get the opportunity to compete. So we are still waiting for the official results to come in. No doubt there's a little bit of maths to do. But as soon as we can bring you those rankings, we will. Oh, we can see some young fans in the crowd there. In fact, I think there's some young gymnasts from Corby Gymnastics Club who have been having a whale of a time here this weekend.
I'm also looking at the dad in the seat before, thinking, please get that camera off me.
No, it's always exciting to have so many young spectators here, because ultimately, if they are gymnastics fans or indeed gymnasts, I expect they might have aspirations of themselves competing at a British Championships in the years to come.
Absolutely. I was just trying to just think, I mean, we've just had so many routines to see today, Katie, and been privileged to see gymnastics at that highest level. Has there been a particular favourite routine or moment for you, perhaps?
Oh, good question. I mean, Alia on beam was a real clutch performance, wasn't it? The pressure was on, and beam is that piece where you really do have to do the business if you want that all-around title. So her steadiness and composure in that beam routine were very worthy. How about you on the men's side? What stood out for you?
I think I'm going to be selfish enough too. The first one being Jamie Lewis on the pommel horse, because for me, that set the tone for the competition for him. It set him up. It was a big and nervous piece of apparatus. There's a lot in that routine, difficulty-wise, that could have gone wrong, but he managed to hold his nerve. He performed it excellently, and for me, that gave him that platform and that confidence to go on and secure the title today. So that's number one. And then number two, I think we also seen a masterclass on vault today by Jake Jarman. We probably don't appreciate, just because we're used to seeing it on a sort of yearly and monthly basis, but his level of vaults are phenomenal. They really, really are.
He is truly world-class on that piece of apparatus, and you're quite right, we get so used to seeing it, but adding the extra half twist on that first vault in particular, we can't overstate how unusual and unique and tremendously difficult that is.
It is, and just comparing that to, you know, sort of not just domestically, but internationally as well, there are very, very few, and I'm talking less than 5 gymnasts in the world that could perform the sort of vaults that Jake can. And also, what's really impressive as well, Harry Hepworth, his teammate, can also perform vaults that are equally as difficult. So I think when we look at where on the men's side the strengths are for gymnastics, certainly floor and vault are the two apparatus right now that we're excelling at as a team.
It really is, isn't it? And it's been quite a shift change, that, actually, because typically, I know we mentioned Lewis Smith and Daniel Keatings earlier, we had such strength and an advantage on pommel horse, and especially now with Max having retired, we haven't quite got that same advantage that we used to have there, but boy oh boy have we got some great gymnasts on the leg events.
Absolutely, and I think that's just the natural progression of sport, and gymnasts typically, they sort of thrive in those environments where they can see gymnasts and doing well and performing and pushing the boundaries of the sport. And I'd like to think over the last few, certainly decade, that's what we've seen, and now the sort of fruits of the labour of that hard work from the gymnasts before them and the inspirational moments have been able to elevate the performances of the gymnasts that we see today, and they'll certainly be having that effect on some of the juniors that we've seen this morning as well, and the previous days before.
For sure, it's amazing how it kind of follows and evolves, isn't it? Success truly does breed success, and when you get one inspirational gymnast like Jake performing vaults like he is, you've got no doubt that there are young gymnasts out there watching thinking, blimey, I'd like to have a go at that. I'd like to aspire to perform that vault in the future, and I've no doubt we'll continue to have years to come of great floor and vault workers as a result of their inspiration. So we've got some great scenes around the arena now. The support for these gymnasts this afternoon has been outstanding. So all the gymnasts are celebrating, relaxing a little bit, but it looks like now we can give you confirmation of the men's senior all-around competition. Chris, do you want to do the honours and talk us through this?
Absolutely. Looking from 6th position onwards, representing Leeds, Michael Goddard there with a score of 77.4. He's had a phenomenal competition today. Adam Tobin, a former British champion, in 5th position, but Jamie Lewis taking the top spot. I think now we're going to hear from our British champions.
And I'm here with our new 2025 British all-around champions. Aaliyah, congratulations. We saw a huge sigh of relief when you finished your beam routine. You must be ecstatic with how you executed your competition.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with myself. My beam routine's quite difficult, so I'm happy I stayed on. I just did it one skill at a time and it paid off.
And your overall competition, did that go to plan? Are you proud of yourself for how the whole subdivision went?
Yeah, I'm impressed with myself. My first 2 competitions back were really good, so I was hoping to just do the same again.
Well, congratulations, and we're joined by your coaching team, father and daughter, Vince and Liliana. Guys, you've had such an incredible week as Heathrow Gymnastics Club. What will it mean to you guys to bring all of this silverware back to your home?
We're so proud. We work with a great team of coaches. It's not just the 2 of us. And we're so proud of our gymnasts. You work really hard day in, day out, and to come here and be successful really means a lot for all of us.
I've been coaching for 40 years, and this is certainly a high point to have another British champion. The other one was a long time ago. So when Aaliyah came back to me in September and said, Vince, I'd like to come back out of retirement, it was a joyful day, and it's been crowned by today's performance. Well done.
And I'm joined by Jamie Lewis. Jamie, you are the 2025 British all-around champion. Some of the greatest gymnasts we've ever produced have had their hands on that trophy. Jamie, how excited are you?
Yeah, I'm over the moon, really. So, yeah, I'm just really happy with my performance. A few errors here and there, but I'm happy to come away with the win. So, yeah, I'm super happy.
And Jamie, what does this mean for your club, your coach? This is the first all-around title Woking have won since 1996, which is an amazing achievement. What does that mean to you and everybody involved?
Wow. 1996? Whoa. Not like that was a long time ago. But yeah, it's really cool to, bring it home for Woking and, yeah, hopefully inspire all the younger generation coming up to just let them know that, they can do things like this, and yeah, just super happy to be a part of that.
Amazing, mate, and well done, Aaliyah, as well. Congratulations. It's been an incredible competition today. We have 2 new British champions. I think you guys have got to get ready for your medal ceremony. We've had an incredible day of competition. We're going to be back tomorrow at 11:20 for the Masters finals. From me and Sydney, thank you to everybody watching. What an incredible day of gymnastics, and we're very excited for tomorrow.